energy has to evolve, whether that's hydrogen or nuclear. Now, even nuclear, that conversation is reemerging. You know, I grew up in South Pennsylvania. Maybe you've heard of 3 Island.
Sure, 3 Mile Island.
I had to evacuate when that happened. I was
you really?
9. Yeah, I had to evacuate.
Wow.
Because they could have turned, you know, we could have never returned. I mean, that was really tense. Now they're reopening that because Microsoft is going to buy the electricity, because now that's going to be nuclear to run the data centers and those things. And it's an important conversation. So if you are committed, and I think it's, you know, I do believe that you really have to make sure that nuclear is part of that conversation too, because you know, zero kinds of emissions, and that's dependable kinds of energy that doesn't depend on the wind or the sun. But ironically, some people pretend that you have to have a conversation. So, but you know, for the foreseeable future, that fossil fuels are part of our stack, and for me, energy security it's very important. You know, national security. I mean, like if we can't power our economy, then that's a significant risk for our economy and our American way. And you know, now I think we're a net exporter of energy. So I think that's a good thing. I think that's a great way to be, and it's being honest about that and the path forward. And I think everything has to be on the table, because we have to have a portfolio that produces the kinds of energy that we're going to need to power our economy.
Another significant issue that a lot of people are concerned about is government interference in online censorship, and what was exposed during the Twitter files, that the FBI had contacted the original owners of Twitter and prevented them, or instructed them that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, was trying to get certain accounts banned that were talking about COVID vaccines and the dangers of side effects and what the actual research was showing, and that this was a significant interference in the First Amendment, and that these corporations that were running these social media companies were being directly influenced by the federal government, and they were using this power to silence people from speaking out against certain things. This is very concerning to a lot of people, this idea that the government would infringe on our ability to be whistleblowers, to expose issues that have been hidden from the American politics. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, of course. I mean, I'm a free speech kind of person, and I think social media it's kind of difficult to control. There's a difference between misinformation or just outright lying, or it's an agenda of a foreign nation that's trying to sow these it's an ongoing kind of situation. So, but I'm always going to try to err on the side of free speech. And then there's incredibly more and more kinds of platforms, just like one-on-one right now, talking about these kinds of things. And I'm not clutching my pearls if we're having conversations that may or may not agree or disagree on what's being talked about, those things. But I think people are there's also a level of responsibility to discern what you're hearing. It's like, right, I think that's true, or I think that's trash, or it's like those kinds of things. And just because always asking myself, in what I'm read, is that just true? Or is there a perspective? Where is it coming from? Who's behind these kinds of things? So, I mean, it's a difficult concept. What's the appropriate kind of balance? But it's absolutely, it's also a fact that there are bad actors behind some of those kinds of conversations, or some of those kinds of misinformation as well too. And absolutely, incitement is not free speech. And
we gonna rob this asshole blind
for violence or those kinds of a thing. I mean, it's
against the law. It's dangerous, yeah. But what the fear is that the government was interfering when you had 51 former intelligence agents that were testifying that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. But it seems pretty clear that they knew that to not be true, and that Twitter actually listened to these people, and they did block that, and it did probably have a significant impact on the 2020 election.
was like the ultimate October surprise.
Right.
And undeniable that had a significant impact.
That was in 2016, right?
It absolutely did as well too. So, I mean, that's why there's both sides, and they have the agendas to suppress some kinds of a thing or to bring something to the front. And it's undeniable that it can have an impact on that as well too. I never went down either of those, rabbit holes, whether it was the Clinton emails or if it was the Hunter Biden's kind of laptop. But it hasn't really changed overall the dynamic that in our cycles, the last 3 cycles, it's about, for me, it's about a referendum on what we want vision for America. Is it a Trump kinds of a vision, or do we have an alternative? And I've always been very clear it's going to be incredibly close, and it's going to be incredibly, at times, very divisive. And here we are now, and it's still back to a coin toss, and I've always predicted that it would be, even back to 2016, because, we're really going to have a lot settled out before this election. It's going to take America in a very 2 stark and distinctive kinds of directions.
What do you think about Elon Musk's idea of creating a government efficiency agency?
I flagged when Musk.
You calling for some wheels? I'm
involved.
Johnny on the spot.
I flagged that. Anyone can look online. I can see it. It's like, endorsements and surrogacy doesn't really mount for much.
I'll get there as soon as I can. Okay, I got stuff to do.
That was a significant, and he's getting involved, and he's showing up at those kinds of events. I mean, in some sense, I've said this publicly, that he's even a bigger kinds of star than Trump can be. And for some people in Pennsylvania, like, that's Tony Stark. Where he's involved in undeniably kinds of important things like SpaceX, or he was one of the original charter. He was involved in the charter of OpenAI. He was involved in that too. So I mean, that's significant. And I don't agree with some of his views in politics, but it's undeniable that he can move the needle in some sense of convince some people that it's like, hey, if he says that he's the right choice for president, that's gonna resonate in some circles in Pennsylvania, and I've warned that, and acknowledging it's just like that. It's just like, hey, I know people, and they admire him, and you may not agree with his politics, but you really, it's impossible to ignore that he is going to have a level of impact on it. Yeah.
But what do you think about the idea of trying to make the government more efficient, and that this hasn't been audited before?
And of course, I'm open to any kinds of ideas and all those kinds of things on all of that. One side doesn't have a monopoly on good ideas or important kinds of issues that are matter to them. So, and it's like the choices and the kinds of things and how he's chosen to participate, especially and very personally in Pennsylvania. I'm like, hey, here's where we are. That's part of the dynamic here. Calling it out and acknowledging that. I'm not moving against that. I'm not criticizing whatever. Hey, it's happening. And that, I think that's part of why things continue to get tighter, and that's kind of where we are.
Well, I think what a lot of people are excited about with Trump is this possibility of change. The Elon Musk edition is one of them, or RFK Jr. is another one. This idea of making America healthy again, removing additives from foods that have shown to be toxic, that are illegal in other countries. I mean, this is I think, a significant issue that shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should be something that we all should be concerned with. Why do we have ingredients in our food that is illegal in a bunch of European countries because they found out that these things are dangerous?
I agree. Look, go to McDonald's in like the UK. The French fries has 3 ingredients.
Right.
Potatoes, salt, and I think maybe oil.
Yeah.
And look at what's in America's side on that. It's much different. I support that, but if anything, more of, and I know your city that we're in now, Austin, has an amazing food kinds of scene, and again, if anything, more of the crunchy, more liberal side, we're on part of the whole organic kinds of a thing and more impurity and things. I don't think that's an issue, and honestly, I don't think that's going to be the kind of mantle that somebody like RFK Jr. That's not his. So I think having a more pure and safe and abundant kinds of food in our country. I absolutely support that. And I'm selective what I feed my children. I mean, when I was a kid, it was like Velveeta, like, hey, now we have real cheese. Or did you ever have like Ecto Cooler, like that green, like antifreeze kind of color of high C? Some of the kinds of foods that we had when I was a kid. That was and kinds of more impure. I think that's been an ongoing conversation. And organic can't become elitist. It can't be too expensive, and I fully support making it more and more pure and more safe on that. And I would celebrate if I could buy the same French fries that you get in the UK. Then I think you don't need more than 3 ingredients.
I have a buddy of mine who lives in Australia, and he came over to America, and he loves quarter pounders in Australia. Because he said quarter pounders in Australia, it's grass-fed meat that's just fried with cheese and a bun. And he said he got a quarter pounder here. He said it tasted like shit. It was bland, and it didn't taste.
Was it a Royale with cheese? Yeah.
I don't know what they call it in Australia, but he said it's grass-fed beef. You get they're not even feeding their cows grain.
Well, a lot of the grass-fed beef in our nation.
You're through to your garage. You need me to bring you a ride? It's coming at you.
Pro-American ranch.
Well, not only that, it's really fucked up because you can make it a product of America.
This is Morse Mutual. I can do that.
So if you import cattle from Australia, say, and then you bring it to America, and then you cut it up and then package it, because you cut it up and packaged it, it's now a product of America. So you could write that on the label. I had Will Harris, who's my local pastor, which is a regenerative farm. This guy spent 20 years and untold dollars changing an industrial farm that his family had and turning it into a regenerative farm. And in doing so, provided people with a much more natural and healthy choice. And he's also done a great job of exposing these practices.
Yeah, I mean, grass-fed beef. I mean, I
can't believe I'm seeing this.
In some sense, I mean, that absolutely supports better health. I mean, I followed before he even appeared on your podcast, Sean Baker.
Yeah.
Carnivore, and even those kinds of insights help me personally and allowed me to kind of drop some of those things. And it's like that's an important conversation too. It's like, declared a war on hamburgers and beef, but we're definitely going to lose that. They're going to lose that if that really becomes part of that.
Yeah.
And
I don't think that's Democrats. I think that's very wealthy people that have a financial interest in feeding people fake meat. That's what I think it is, and I think they've captured the system.
I said it pains me to agree with DeSantis, because they passed the ban in that, and it pains me to agree with it. But it's like, I would never feed that slop to my kids. When you can buy quality American grass-fed American beef, that's what I purchased. I use that at Costco. I buy the 3-pack of it, and my oldest son, he knows how to prepare like his own ribeye, and he's makes that a part of healthy kinds of a diet.
Yeah, for sure. Wrap this up. Is there anything else that's on your mind that you think is significant that needs to be discussed?
Oh, before you wrap up, I think we have a situation, whether it's the situation on Israel, or there's a lot happening with the election right now. But what I promise you is going to be, whenever people hear this conversation, our world's going to be about to change, or maybe it's about to change. So I just hope that we're going to be able to respond in a way for all kinds of transfer of power, and we are collective and a collaborative kind of direction for all that. But we're in an incredibly divisive place right now. I just want to be part of a conversation to make sure that we can be more constructive. But right now we're kind of, it's a difficult place right now, and we're coming down to a coin toss election.
Yeah, I agree. I hope we can all relax and work together, cooperatively. Yeah. Well, listen, man, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to come here and talk. It's been great to get to know you and have a conversation with you.
Oh, hey, thank you for having. It's as a fan, it's great to kind of visit, and so thanks for having me. So
my pleasure. All right, best of luck to you. Thank you. All right, bye, everybody.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night.
She's a bride.
And we're up.
Exciting times.
It's a good time to be a conspiracy theorist.
It's a good time to be a conspiracy theorist. It's a great time to be a comedian. These are the good days. The all or nothing days.
Yeah, these are the good days until the election, and who the fuck knows what happens.
Just fast forward to it.
Did you see this thing that the Biden administration pushed through? This new martial law thing?
Yeah.
This is very disturbing. Jamie, please Google this so we can find out what the actual law states. But it's DOD Directive 5240.01, giving the Pentagon power for the first time in history to use lethal force to kill Americans on U.S. soil who protest government policies.
What are they expecting?
550.01. Is that what it is? Did I tell you what it is? I'm sorry. 5240.01. DOD Directive. This is from RFK Jr. Posted this on Twitter, and I'm finding out about it because people are blowing me up about it. That's fucking terrifying. That is a terrifying thing to push through for the first time in U.S. history, giving the military the ability to shoot and kill American citizens.
And that's crazy too. It's interesting because with the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act and stuff like that, it's almost like they kind of, in a weird way, just make illegal what they're already doing. If you use the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act that Obama pushed through, which basically made it so legal for the U.S. government to use propaganda against citizens, which they were already doing in different ways through CIA and all that stuff. So it sounds like we can legally do it. You can't sue us now.
How crazy is it that it's legal to lie?
How
It's
crazy
legal
is that?
for the government to not just legally lie, but they can concoct completely fabricated stories just to push a narrative if they decide that it's in the best interest of national security or whatever.
To just manipulate energy in your mind and all that stuff to get you to believe certain things. And we need to bring back shame. That's my opinion.
Well, they have none.
It's
It's not going to work. You can't bring back shame to lizard people.
Yeah, they can't. They can't feel anything. It's in their reptilian brains, which is some weird shit going on right now with that.
It's weird because, that David Icke stuff where he said they're all lizard people. I don't think they're really lizard people. I don't think they're really shapeshifters. But
Nice,
they
we're
do
still in business.
behave
Very well done.
in a reptilian
All
way.
of you.
Like
Very,
a corporation
very
does. Like a psychopath.
non-incriminating. Yes.
I
That's the
don't
word I'm
know if
looking
they're
for.
actual reptilians,
Yeah.
dude, but
You know, it's
there is
ironic
something
given
going
we,
on that they are group of people because they're all related, which is very weird. If you like, oh, you go back far enough, they're all related. Like if you study Obama and Bush, right? Because I remember when Obama was running, I was like, oh, change, it's going to be change, hope and change. And then you start studying like the Bushes and the Obamas.
You've got to clean up a few other loose ends pertaining to the case.
Ancestor, their common ancestor,
but no, it's nothing immoral
right?
at all.
You go,
just lawyers.
The
professor's old business associate and 2 lawyers. Really, it's all the same.
Their common ancestor
I always say,
is a
you can't kill a
Hinckley.
couple lawyers to bend the law to your will. Then who
Hinckley
can
was
you kill?
related to Obama and Bush?
And related to but the Bushes had dinner with the Hinckleys the night before Reagan got shot. And
get
here's
them on the way to City Hall, get the documents they're carrying. The business partner is Dima
I always thought Hinckley was a lone nut,
extremely paranoid, and extremely horrible. Don't cry for this guy.
So
no one else will.
No, dude.
He's renting a place up in Richmond,
interviews,
Glen.
dude,
Just him.
where he said,
and a huge security team.
Uncle George
Get close
told
to
me
him,
to do it.
take him down, and after that we should be ready to go.
Let him out.
Yeah, and now he's doing like playing in coffee beans because he's put out an album or something like that. he's touring off it. But that's a crazy thing.
Barack Obama, the 10th cousin once removed of George W. Bush, through Samuel Hinckley of Cape Cod. Holy shit!
It's so crazy.
I've never gone down the Hinckley rabbit hole. So John Hinckley, the guy who killed or shot rather Reagan, what was his deal? Was he?
He was like
MK Ultra.
Yeah, he was a little off. He was like the one family member that was a little off.
A little off.
Here's the craziest thing about that thing. The Hinckley that shoots at Reagan, he's the first one that can use the I'm mentally not capable of defending myself. I'm too mentally ill. What's the law where you can I know
what you're talking about.
Yeah. So because right around then, John Lennon was also getting like assassinated, and his killer tried to use that I'm not mentally capable.
Who killed John Lennon? Do we remember?
What was his name? What was it? Dude, and I watched that whole story.
Is there a rabbit hole to go down on that one too?
That's a crazy story too, because like we had this kind of, there's 2 eras of like assassinations where like everybody was getting assassinated, or they were attempting.
Mark David Chapman shot and killed Lennon. Now, is he an MK Ultra guy?
Bro, so he had that. What book did he have? On the Rye, what's it called? Catching the Rye. That's something.
Final stretch now. It's a 2-horse race with 2 of you on each horse. The ass and the head. Horse 1 is going for the lawyers at City Hall. Horse 2 is on the business partner in Richmond. Sound good? Get moving.
MK Ultra shit is left and right.
Horse 1, there's a ladder going up to the roof of the building opposite City Hall. You've got your long-range rifles, right? We want to minimize risk of failure, so you're taking your kills at exactly the same time. Coordinate your shots.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they just load it up. When it's meant to happen, you don't get out of there. There's layers upon layers upon layers. That's why when you talk about any of these things, that, you know, even like when you talk about the Trump assassination, there's a lot of stuff I go, that's a little weird, you know, like that's a really weird situation right there. Because if you study these high impact events, they're like, it's kind of like that scene in John Wick. Do you know where John Wick, like the hit goes out on him and he's in the plaza, and now every assassin has a flip phone suddenly, they're all on flip phones, and it's like, boom, take out John. That's a high impact event. Like, there's layers upon layers upon layers where you're not getting out of there. Like 9/11, JFK.
What is this, Jamie?
Document shows CIA and FBI spied on John Lennon. Fear of interrupting the election in '72.
Which one was 72? Was that McGovern? I think that was when Hunter S. Thompson
Got a clear view of the steps. Vanderloop and Sherman are on a route in a black benefactor shafter. Do
that
not
was the
shoot
one
until
where
they're
Nixon
out
won
of the
by the
car.
largest margin in history because McGovern's running mate, turns out he was cuckoo and had gotten
The other team just cleaned up at Pompow's house. Bring the deposition back in.
Did you ever see the
Here they
press
come.
conference?
Wait till they're out, then take the shots at the exact same time. 2 shots, 2 kills.
Like, you thought Tim Walsh was a bad
Well done.
PD.
Now,
This guy,
go down and get their
they're like,
documents, and if the
no.
police corner you, make sure your kill is not captured.
The guy who's giving them mouth to mouth at the end is a New York police officer that was so undercover that even like the New York police didn't know about it. It was this crazy like secret group within the
cabin until you are sure the police are not following you.
Dude, it's
Copy.
crazy.
You're in Hamas. You're in there.
And you're so deep, too.
You're so deep that no one even knows what your actual job is. And there's Israel doesn't play.
Israel don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck. They have a bunch of those dudes. Like infiltrated
Everywhere.
Hezbollah.
Everywhere.
They've got guys in everywhere.
The
That's how
U.S.
they blew
government
everybody up with those
everywhere.
pagers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That pager thing is one of the most gangster moves in the history of espionage.
And it's like, you guys, you know,
Is that
every...
espionage, technically? No.
Yeah, 100%.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, it was 100. It was clandestine and all that stuff.
This episode of the Joe Rogan Experience is brought to you by
Sounds like the
Call of
locals
Duty.
have given
You
up
know,
their
when a
pursuit.
new
Good
Call
work,
of Duty
team.
drops, everyone's trying to find a way to squeeze in those extra hours of gameplay. I get it. Life is busy, but sometimes you just...
Hey, Joe, it's the replacer. Yeah, no, you. Hey, I'm gonna take it from here so you can enjoy some Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Great. Now listen up, folks. Life can be chaotic, but you shouldn't have to miss out on the latest Call of Duty just because you've got, I don't know, responsibilities. That's where I come in. I will handle the boring stuff like work, chores, even podcast ads. So you can dive right into the fight. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is out October 25th. So dive in because I got your back. Remember, I vote you play. It's that simple.
Man, the replacer always gets it done. Seriously though, if you're hooked on Call of Duty, this is your time to jump in. Head over to callofduty.com/Black Ops 6 to get in the game. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, available now. Fucking wild move. What a wild move.
Any study where, like, they could get any, like, they could have this thing listening to us. It's that, yeah, the Buddha's listening to us, this coffee's, that's where it's
Now
at.
they have Wi-Fi and the ability with Wi-Fi to see
All
everything
objectives
in the
complete.
room.
Good work,
Not
everyone.
only does Wi-Fi see you, it knows what position you're in, and it sees you as you're moving around.
It knows everything.
Yeah.
You know, even these phones, like,
Oh yeah, they never shut off.
who was
by
I
the way.
talking to? I was talking to some people last night at your club, and they were talking about how, like, your phone knows exactly, like, what time it is and what you tend to look at that time. So when you flip it up, those are the apps that come up. They have you down on lockdown. Everything. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like, I've been studying this stuff a lot, and this is the weirdest thing, is where everybody thinks I'm a crazy person.
I don't.
Thank you. Finally, somebody gets me. It got really lonely there for a while.
Well, you were out there at the end of the pier. You were out there at the end of the pier. The hurricane was coming.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "What's Sam doing?"
Yeah, he's scaring
He's like,
us.
"Guys,
Yeah.
we need water. We need sandbags."
And now they still think I'm crazy, but at least they're like, okay, he's right about everything,
Well,
right?
it was fascinating to watch Callan slowly melt away the layer that he had put up, the blinders that he had put up all of his life.
And it's like, so if I get a text from him, you're right about everything.
Yeah.
Where do you get your news from? I'm like, the streets, dog.
Bro, Callan is so hard to convince. He and I, we had this long-ass conversation in Utah a couple weeks ago when I was there for the UFC. And just a long-ass conversation where I was laying some things out for him and then showing him. He's like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah, read it." He's like, "What the fuck?" I go, "Yeah, read it."
It's so crazy because, you know, he's super highly educated, you know, and Brian Callen is a sweetheart. People don't realize that. He's almost to a point like he's a people pleaser where he just wants to make sure everybody's happy.
A little bit of that.
A little bit. And he kind of puts himself in some weird situations once in a while. But at the end of the day, he has a good heart and he means really well.
He's a great guy. I've been friends with Brian for 30 years.
Yeah, he's the best.
We're real good friends.
And
I love him to death.
And he wants to have hope.
Yeah, well, he wants to believe that the government is good.
Yes.
And I think the government is mostly good.
Yes.
That's what I think about people. I think people are mostly good. I think most people are great. But I think the reason the Second Amendment exists is some people are not great.
Yeah.
Some people are really bad, and you want to protect the great people from the people that are really bad. And that's a reality, unfortunate reality. I would like that to go away. I would like there to be no need for guns because everyone's amazing.
Problem. Some asshole got wind of what we were up to.
But
apparently killing a guy's closest
that everyone's the best without fixing all the problems that make people fucked up in the first place.
They put a price on the professor's head,
guns,
so we got to move.
So
now,
only outlaws have guns.
Can we get
is
going?
the dumbest fucking strategy.
Remember,
every city that pulls that off,
not
like
me.
Chicago
not
or Detroit or any of these places that try that shit.
Based
it's
on
a
this
disaster
inmate transfer schedule,
you know,
Bolingbroke are
more people
expecting
get
a new
murdered
arrival.
in Chicago.
One of you is going to intercept the transport, make sure it doesn't get there.
The places with
Two of you are going to be taking our prison bus and making your way into the facility in its place.
It doesn't work that way. You have to look at things realistically.
Stay in character as
and then
long
you have
as
to
it's
look at the
useful.
root of the problem.
Then make your way to the rooftops. I'll get on the radio and give you a path to the
Look at what causes the
Meanwhile, the pilot will have picked up the plane and be waiting on the evac in the air.
Neighborhoods.
Whoever stole the bus will be bypassing the prison and torching it somewhere discreet.
So
after that, it's just a matter of getting your guy out of the clink and getting him onto the plane. Everyone flies out of there except for the bus. Professor Reshkovsky takes control of the plane. The three of you on board take a jump. Professor's out of U.S. airspace and reunited with his precious car.
We could have completely renovated
the
schools,
easiest money you'll ever make.
brought in athletes and musicians and people to do seminars and show people how they can get out of things. Teach people trades. Life skills. Teach people things that you can use, you can apply, you can get jobs, show them how to get jobs. You know, there's a lot of people that are fucked, man. They're fucked, and they have no one reaching a hand to try to help them out. And we could have done that.
Scarcity, dude. That's scarcity.
But is that on purpose? Yeah. I don't think it is. I think they're acting in the interest of the people that pay them. And the interest of the people that pay them is supporting the military-industrial complex, the pharmaceutical-industrial complex, and then all the people that give them money keep getting more money from them and ignore all the other people. This is what I think they're doing. And this is what I think they're doing with voting as well. I mean, I think it's the exact same thing. The reason why they're letting in so many people and giving them money and putting them up in hotels and then asking for amnesty for all these people that came in. We need people. This is like this new narrative. We're not having enough babies. We need people to come into this country. Sure. Not that way.
Yeah.
Not where you don't know who the fuck they are.
We like to vet them.
15,000 of them are rapists. 14,000 of them are murderers, convicted murderers. This is just what we know.
It's like you're having a party and you're like, yeah, there's not a lot of people there. Someone's like, I'll invite a bunch of people.
Go
and
to
you're
South
like,
Central, open up the doors. Find the gangbangers.
Yeah,
bring them in.
But then you study a lot of this stuff, and it just gets into like, I think like this kind of like dark energy stuff, man. It's like, if you study like what they did to the Americans, you say what they did to the black community, they're going the same playbook over and over again, which is
the pilot's going to LSIA.
They killed all the buffalo,
smoke in a nice crowded public place. They've given everyone an AP pistol and a special carbine, so there's no fighting over who's the favorite. Ground team, when you get to the bus, the officer's driving, the transporter's in the back playing inmate. The perimeter team do their job. You'll go in place of the scheduled bus. No one will know the difference. This operation's a burnt if you attract police attention, so keep your heads down. Got it? Okay, get to work.
Yeah.
That was the prime. That's crazy. Before they're even getting skins, they're getting tongues. Tongues was like one of the big things because you could take them, you could send them back east, they were worth a lot of money. It's because of buffalo tongue.
Yeah.
So they're shooting this 1,800-pound animal for a fucking 10-pound tongue.
It's nuts. And then the guys didn't have the males, the men didn't have jobs. And the women always had jobs to raise children, and that was their job. And then you look at the black community, they did that exact same thing with the crack epidemic. They took away all the jobs, they flooded it with drugs, they locked up all the men, destroyed the community. And now you see that kind of happening in the bigger cities now, where it's like, I was flying on this one airline, I forget what it is, and they were like, we're training only women now to be pilots. And I'm like, is that the best idea right here?
How about training women? Great. If they're not women, don't hire them.
So you're taking away from jobs from guys, and like as men,
but you know what that is. That's all that DEI stuff, where they have to, like, in order to get funding, you know, in order to, like, there's a financial incentive to meet DEI quotas. A lot of companies are abandoning. Yeah, well, all of it happens in the Obama administration. Yeah. Have you ever seen, we showed it yesterday on the podcast, the spike in racism
mentions in the newspaper.
All mentions on social media, all of a sudden became a big thing. And then you have all your race hustlers who are taking advantage of these DEI quotas, provide seminars for exorbitant rates. This is the Al Sharpton hustle, the Jesse Jackson hustle. You know, all those, there's a lot of those guys that capitalize on white guilt and got in with a fucking nice fucking dude.
Paycheck, dude.
Big cash, make big money. I want shrimp cocktail in the green room. You know, like, for diversity.
You got the bus?
Up with
All
some
right.
Dom Perignon.
Take it to Bolingbroke and avoid
You
attention.
know, they pulled it off, and that's what you're always going to have. You're always going to have people that take advantage of any kind of a situation like that. And I think that one seems to be, I don't think they realize what impact it's going to have. I think they were just trying to push a narrative that people are racist and like we should not be racist, and it was like a good talking point for the Obama administration. But then it spread to transphobia and homophobia. It just went wild.
Yeah, they're just looking for stuff.
Xenophobia.
I think it's like there's a bigger play, and it's and these are playbooks, plays in the playbooks that they run to do this. And you know, it's like for me, it's like study the Cultural Revolution of China, study the Bolshevik Revolution of Russia, and I'm sorry, but people can think I'm crazy, but what the Nazis did to Germany. It's like these are playbooks to destroy these giant, powerful countries that you can't just invade because you get your dick kicked in. So you have to kind of destroy it from inside. And I think everything you're talking about right now is out of a playbook of cultural Marxism. That this is how you destroy it from the inside. And like that Yuri Bevanov or whatever his last name is. Dude, I just saw another video he did where like, and the guy ruined it by putting up all these stupid pictures and it made it way more weaponized than it needed to be. But man, he breaks down how you break down society. There's a couple videos, one of him sitting down, and then there's one where he's giving a seminar. And bro, he breaks down every single step. And you go, that's happening right now.
They've destroyed the faith in America. People think that the American flag is racist.
So racist.
Because schools will kick you out if you come in with an American flag t-shirt. Like, this is bananas.
It is
but yet
crazy.
pride flags are mandatory in some places.
It's so crazy to me, and I'm working on this bit right now because, like, everything in television is like Civil War. There's gonna be a Civil War. There's gonna be movies, and I'm like, they do real. Like the right and the left. That's gonna sound like a code swap to me. It's like they're gonna have like the rednecks versus the furries, and like what's fighting here, dude? It's like ridiculous. And because like it sounds so crazy that like you know if you call somebody a fascist, that meant they were like taking away your rights. Now it's just your dad who watches Fox News. Right. It's like so stupid. Racist. Like, be called racist. It doesn't. It's almost like a badge of honor at this point to be called these terms because it's just by annoying people who I don't like anyway. So it's destroyed this kind of fabric between relationships between everybody.
It's destroyed the meaning
I thought
of
they were
words, and it
simply
really opens the
professionals.
door for
I
real
collaborate
racism.
and nearly get
Like,
a
if you
shit
only have
for the
one
pleasure.
word and the word is racist,
Just give me.
you apply that word to anyone. Everyone.
All
Anyone
the
that
time.
disagrees with
There
it.
are
Like,
some
they
screws
apply
I
it to
hope we
Graham
run into.
Hancock, the archaeologist.
Let's go!
I had this fucking guy on, this Flint Dibble guy, who's an archaeologist, who literally wrote things implying that Graham Hancock empowers white supremacy.
Let's go!
And I asked him about it. He was like trying to skid around
Check
it.
is in
dance
your
around
hands,
it.
transporter. Protect Reshkovsky.
This is a guy.
Officer, you're clearing a path for the transporter and Reshkovsky. Get them out alive. This is how it's gonna work. You're gonna clear the area, then Reshkovsky will move up. Clear and move. Clear and move. We need him out in one piece. Reshkovsky, move until we have some space here.
By the same fucking people that lived there in northern Africa. It's the same fucking people. No one's saying white people. There's no white people back there. I mean, especially in that area. What are you talking about? It's not a white thing. It's Egyptian. It's African.
Clear the area, and Reshkovsky will
You can
advance.
say racist, and everybody's like, "Oh my god."
There's a small gap between the two buildings to your west.
But
That's
it's
your
legal
exit out of the northern
to
yard.
be racist.
We are going to
Fucking
incentivize
KKK
this. We need Reshkovsky out of the country quickly and in
you
good
call
health. The better you do those things, the better you're paid.
You know, an amateur archaeologist a racist because he's like trying to say like, hey, maybe this stuff is older than you think it is. Well, what about what are you gonna call the real? Are they super racists? What are those?
And what is this thing? Like, what's the play? Like, like, play the tape out. What does that mean? Like if you go, oh, this is white supremacy. What does that mean? Is he trying to say that they're stealing, like, their valor? Is that what they're saying? Like,
they're trying to take away the notion that indigenous people struggle. But no one's saying
this is what you
like, he even implied that Grandma said something about aliens.
Remember, a scratch on Rashkovsky is a scratch off your paychecks. And the quicker you get them out, the more you're paying for it.
And the argument is fascinating and is backed by actual science. The argument is there's a thing called the Younger Dryas impact theory that happened around 11,000 years ago. Documented, proven, 100% real event. They know the dates that it happens because it happens every year. I think it's in June. Is that when the meteor shower? Is that what it is? So there's a comet shower that we pass through twice a year, and every now and then a big chunk, like the Tunguska event. The Tunguska event in the early 1900s, which flattened like 1 million acres in Siberia, is the exact same time period where we pass through this shower. So they believe that at 11,800 years ago, this impact, and this is proven by core samples that show high levels of iridium, high levels of this nuclear glass that happens on impacts, and they find this stuff all in the same area, around 11,800 BC, and then another one that's somewhere around 10,000, or 11,800 years ago, rather, and another one that's like 10,000 plus years ago. So they think there's like multiple events that took place over a few thousand years, which totally makes sense if we pass through this fucking shower all the time, and it nuked a giant chunk of Siberia in the early 1900s. So all he's saying, all Graham Hancock is saying is, we are a species. And to call him a racist, nuts.
I love it, dude.
Pilot,
Like,
they have the
I
asset.
think the
Coordinate
world
with the
before
ground team,
that
choose a place
event
to land, and
was
pull them out of there.
It was like, I think it's like, Harry Potter. Like,
Local PD
it was
are all
the
over this.
craziest thing
Communicate.
ever.
Choose
Everything,
somewhere with enough
even
space to
study,
land
like,
and
stuff
pull
that
them
happened in
out.
the Bible and all these crazy things they say people did. I think all these things is possible before that, and it just wiped out this incredible civilization that was so advanced, and they can manipulate energy, and they can do all this. Who built the pyramids? Maybe Nephilim. Who knows, dude? Giants just lifting logs and
Pilot, ground team, you need to coordinate and get
there.
Rashkovsky airborne
an
ASAP.
insane level of operation. That doesn't make any sense when you look at the rest of the world. The rest of the world at 2,500 BC, which is the conventional date. Let's say that's correct. Just the conventional date. Graham Hancock thinks it was probably much earlier. But let's say the conventional date. No one else was doing anything at 2,500 BC. Not even close. What was going on there? How did they just have the same resources? Did they have so much food and water and they existed for thousands of years? Just like, you look, we were talking about this. I had Brian Cox on this show.
This all goes to plan. You rendezvous on the beach in the Palomino Highlands.
120 years
Okay,
ago,
get the plane out of there.
World War
Demolitions
II.
keep with them.
Bullshit.
The rest of the crew bails, you'll be picking them up.
120 years later,
You need to
Elon
evade
Musk
the authorities before you bail out of there. Run evasive maneuvers, get clear of that H1 drop zone. And remember, Rashkovsky's paying you to get him out. I'm just a friendly stranger you know very little about.
So imagine these Egyptians had this same sort of situation where they had an established civilization, an established culture, plenty of food, plenty of resources, brilliant people, no war. And then they just start figuring stuff out, but on a different pathway. Instead of with like engines and internal combustion and electronics, they go a different way. And we don't know what that way is, but it's totally possible that that way exists.
Yeah, there's a lot of great YouTube channels that break this stuff down, like on my lunch break and Analog. I've had him on my show, and he was telling me this story about how like they were drilling low, and then they got to this, and there was this giant like cavern, and they found like a civilization down there that was empty. And he talked about one time where they just kept drilling, and they just would find civilization on top of civilization, and they got low enough that they found like in America, they found like Chinese writing low enough.
Where is this?
Yeah, dude, if you study these guys, they have these YouTube channels. It's It's on my lunch break and analog, and they just break down kind of like something I talked about last time I was on here, which was Tartaria, but it's lost civilizations, how our timeline is completely fucked. It's not even real. There's people who think we're millions of years old, and we have these giant events that kind of come and reset us, but they dig deep enough. There's like civilizations keep digging. There's another civilization over and over and over, and we're just on top of giants, dude.
Well, that's the case with Egypt. There's Old Kingdom and then there's New Kingdom stuff, and when you go deeper into the sand, you find more complex buildings.
Yeah, dude.
Which is nuts. Bigger stones, like crazy stuff. That Old Kingdom Egypt stuff is a specific style. And so, maybe that was 11,800 years ago, and then maybe 10,000 years ago is the other one. Like, we don't know. We don't know how old that stuff is.
Well, it's almost like the Egyptians just kind of moved in, and they're like, these are our pyramids, and
the Egyptians of Cleopatra's age, perhaps.
Yeah.
But someone, long ass time ago had knowledge of constellations, had an understanding of how to point something perfect, do north, south, east, and west, and just the calculations that have to be involved in getting 2,300,000
I should say,
stones.
I've been impressed by your professionalism. Now, I'm not going to go into it, but Rashkovsky's part of something bigger, way bigger. I need to make a few more inquiries, and we'll be ready to go on a job that requires your particular skill set. Don't retire on me just yet.
Like, you tell me how they're doing this. How the fuck? How would we do that now? Forget about that.
Even if you go into these small kind of towns, you just go into pick any state. You go into a small town. Their city hall is like the most beautiful building you've ever seen, surrounded by trailers. And you're like, who was here? Who made that? Why'd they make that? And where'd they go? And you see that all over the place.
But the thing is, like, craftsmen, for like, if you go into like old houses, old churches, the craftsmanship is insane. Have you ever been to Vatican?
No, that's on the list.
Vatican, incredible. St. Peter's Basilica is fucking mind-blowing. You walk around, it took hundreds of years to make, and the craftsmanship is just spectacular. When you walk around, your jaw's just hanging out, like, what the fuck? Yeah. Show some photos of St. Peter's Basilica. Dude, it's immense. I don't know how tall the ceiling is. It's fucking crazy tall. But it's like everywhere you look is incredible, ornate craftsmanship. And, that was a thing that people did. Like, show the inside. Look at that. Click on that. Look at that, man.
The detail. Oh, dude, my God.
In real life, it blows your mind. Because you're just like, how? How long? What was the motivation? How did you get the money? Like, who did you steal all that money from?
Crazy.
Click on that other one, Jamie. The one, yeah.
Wow.
Look at that. And then the one to the left of that, too. Look at that. Fuck, dude. And when you walk around in there, photos barely do it justice. See, go the one there in the lower, the right-hand side, Jamie, with all the people in it, right next to that to the right. Yeah, right there. Look at that one. So that gives you an understanding of the scale. You see all these people roaming around in it. It's fucking amazing. And so people were just really good at carpentry and craftsmanship back then. And it was a skill that was taught in school. Like how many sculptors are there today? It's probably a dying thing. It's probably very few actual sculptors. But back then, it was a real craft that you can get into. And especially, you're doing all this stuff by hand. Like, they didn't even have power tools. Okay? So that whole thing was built without table saws, no band saws. It was all planers and hand chisels and hand saws.
Something, dude. You don't know. We don't know the technology.
We know the dates of that. We know the people that did it. That's all doable. It's especially doable over hundreds and hundreds of years of working on it, which is what we know that they did. When you get to things like the pyramid, all definitions kind of fall apart because there's too many stones. I think they said that they gave a timeline of something in the neighborhood of 20 years, the Pharaoh Khufu, his lifetime. And that in order to build that pyramid just within his lifetime, within his reign, which was like 20 years, you would have to place a stone every 30 seconds or something crazy like that. You have to cut, place, measure, and it would take 30 seconds per stone. And you have to round the clock.
How the fuck? It's so crazy like that. They're building that, and now I drive through this country doing stand-up, and you see like churches are in like strip malls now, right? It's like you got church right next to a Jamba Juice.
Right.
There's nobody's building these amazing buildings anymore.
Right.
And it's super sad. And it's also like, is it done on purpose to kind of make you raise your anxiety? Like, you used to, come on.
That's where you and I part ways.
That's fine.
It's done on purpose.
I'll go my way.
You get the Joel Osteens who are in a giant fucking stadium because they want to make money. You know, that's what religion has become a way to get tax exempt status, and you can be a baller. You could be that Kenneth Copeland guy with fucking flying around on Tyler Perry's jet.
That guy's crazy. You see that interview about the dean? Oh man, when the woman interviews him about what?
Fucking vicious, man. Scary. Just all the people in his name are like real retards. Yeah, that guy's not Jesus.
yeah.
That's the thing is like, how is there's some scams that are legal, and it's crazy. Evangelist is the best scam that's legal because it's legal.
Start your own church.
It's legal. You don't have to be a real righteous person. You don't have to be following the Bible. A lot of them are gay. They're fucking people left and right. Remember Tammy Faye Baker, Jim Baker,
just cuckings.
Jessica Hahn. Remember that scandal?
Well, wasn't the thing that he liked to just watch his wife get railed? Wasn't that the whole story? Was it
I don't know.
The doc at the end, or the mini series on them was like, you just love to watch her get railed?
Maybe.
It's crazy.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, you get that rich
banging
into weird shit.
Jessica Hahn, who went up bagging Sam Kinison, which is hilarious.
So, places you will go, the people you will see.
I remember one time Sam Kinison was on Howard Stern, and Jessica Hahn was calling in, "You're a piece of shit." Like, fuck you.
This lady, what? So gorgeous.
Back then, those were national stories. Those were huge national stories when a preacher, like when Jimmy Swaggart got caught with hookers.
Yeah.
I'm sad.
Yeah.
Remember that? He was crying.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too, because like I grew up in that era, and that all that stuff kind of made me like question the church, and then question God, and then I just kind of go, because I've been spending some time with my friends. We kind of listen to Johnny Cash read the Bible.
Oh wow.
It's the best.
How old was he when he read the Bible?
I don't know how old he was, but it's like very soothing, and it's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I'm on this journey right now, but I've never sat down and read the Bible.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
I hate when people say they're on a journey.
I don't know.
Just don't say it anymore.
Okay. Well, I'm going for a walk.
Get it. Say it.
No, it's fine. I don't care.
Nothing
I don't
wrong
care.
with being on a
But
spiritual
I'm
journey.
just trying to learn,
Yes.
right? Because I've been like a real knuckle dragger my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into the higher vibrational, right? So I'm studying this shit.
Cash reading the New Testament. Oh, so he's old. It was old Johnny Cash, 1990. Okay, not too old.
It's the
not
best.
too old. Oh wow, that's fucking great.
And you just listen to them, and like I never sat down and read the Bible. I've never actually read what's in it. I've been always told what was in it. I never read it. And now to hear it actually read, which technically I'm not reading it either, I'm listening, but you know, it's like it's really interesting.
I tried to say I read a book to Donnell Rawlings, and I told him I read it on, I listened to it on audio tape. He goes, "So you didn't read it?" I was like, I absorbed the information, but you did not read it.
That's
Okay,
Brian
you're right.
Callen too.
You're right,
I read
didn't
this
read
book.
it.
You listen to a tape, which
Yeah.
is fine.
I haven't read a book in a long time.
Well, because you're busy, dude.
I read articles. I read science papers, but I don't read very many books. Most books I get on the in the sauna, or I get on the way over to here.
Yeah, I love it. Because I can retain knowledge better listening than I can actually reading it, because I just go, what did I just read? And I have to go back, and I'm the worst reader
It's a
possible.
skill. You have to learn how to absorb information, so it's like everything else. Like if you're talking to someone but you're drifting, you know, you're not really thinking about that. You're like, oh, I got to do laundry. You know, you start thinking stuff.
Yeah.
Then
And
you're
then
not
you got
paying
to catch up to
attention.
what they're saying.
Yeah,
You're just
like,
looking for clues.
Especially if you're talking to someone who's just talking at you. People that talk at you are so brutal because they're not really, there. They just have a thing and they're pressing play.
You just happen to be there.
You happen to be there.
And they're just drive-by shooting. Yeah.
And they just want you to smile and make you look good. It's kind of weird. They don't really give a fuck with your opinion. But if you're talking to one of those people, it's super easy.
Yeah, 100%.
Start thinking about shit you gotta do.
Well, I'm a crazy person, so my brain is thinking about 1,000 things at one time. Yeah, dude. I got like I'm like an iPhone. I'm multitasking, doing a bunch of stuff.
We were trying to have a conversation about this in the green room the other day. You know, all the different people, they're all, I go, listen, anybody doing this job is out of their fucking mind.
Crazy.
Which is fine. It's okay to be out of your mind. My favorite people are out of their fucking mind.
Yeah.
Just be a good person. Be out of your mind, but be nice. Be out of your mind, but be nice, be generous, be charitable. It's okay to be out of your mind. But you should also probably figure out a way to manage your mind. You know, my way to manage my mind is cold plunges, workouts, saunas, brutalize myself, meditate. That way, when I do such difficult shit on my own, that the regular life, the difficulties of regular life is pretty passive. They're not that big of a deal. It's not like 3 minutes and 33 minutes walk.
You go through it.
It's not a kettlebell workout. You fucking think you're gonna throw up. It's okay. The jiu-jitsu class, you're getting strangled. If you get through all that stuff, like regular life is easier. That's why like being on the couch is bad. Being on the couch is bad, not because it's not great to be on the couch. I love watching it. Sitting down for a little Shogun binge watching. It's fucking awesome. But it's too comfortable. And when that becomes your baseline, and anything that's uncomfortable becomes difficult to handle. Because most of your day is like relaxation and sedentary lifestyle. That's not good for you. It's not good for your brain. Forget about your body. Forget about vanity. It's not good for the brain. The brain you need voluntary adversity so that life's adversity becomes normal. Like I'm sure you know military guys. Yeah. I have a lot of friends that have been in war. And those guys that have been in war have a completely different reaction to regular bullshit. I'm sure. Regular bullshit is not that big a deal for those guys. They're just like, this is just regular bullshit. This is easy day. You know, because war is fucking great.
All right, bring the car in. We'll salvage the parts and get paid in no time.
How much have you seen? How much have you had to deal with? And that's why rich kids and spoiled kids, they have such a hard time navigating life. Look at Hunter Biden.
I agree.
Look at that poor bastard. Yeah. You know, if that guy was your dad, if your dad was a fucking vice president, he was never home, he'd probably be doing coke too. Yeah. He'd probably be in Vietnam, smoking crack with street hookers, taking pictures of your dick. Yeah. Why not?
That guy's got a huge dick for always on coke. It's like he doesn't get coke dick. It's unbelievable.
I'm sure he's taking my act.
It's a fucking hog for a dude on crack.
Well, I never looked, but congratulations.
Well, yeah, I have to do research.
Somebody asked me, they had a copy of the entire laptop. They said, do you want it? I said, no. I do not want
Why
that.
do you want that?
I do not want that. I don't want to be in possession of that. Yeah. But also, like, isn't it illegal? Like, that's not yours.
There's things on there that seem illegal.
Well, I'm sure there's activities that seem illegal, but isn't it illegal to be in possession of someone's private property that was copied without their knowledge?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's illegal.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Yeah. So you know what's interesting?
That's one of the dirtiest playbooks. When they inject child porn into someone's laptop, they do that one all the time. Yeah. They do that one all the time.
Yeah, it's
they
really
just
scary.
did that to the brother. Well, this is not true. Let me say this. What? You don't know how many people they do that to, but they have done it. Someone in some intelligence agency has dropped child porn into a person's computer. That's a fact. It's a real strategy. People have talked about it openly. People have been caught on tape talking about it. But people get busted, and you're like, oh, how convenient that this guy got caught with child porn. Now, everything he says you'll never listen to again. One of a guy that got caught with child porn was the brother of the guy who went to the golf course to try to kill Trump.
Also, the brother of the guy who was blamed for the Vegas shooting. Same playbook.
You really knew how to
What a coincidence.
That both of their brothers happen to be child
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And they just put it on your computer, and then they raid you, and then there's nothing you can do about it.
Hey, if that is the one most unforgivable thing of all time.
I agree.
If you have that on your fucking computer, everybody agrees you should be dead. Except some of these crazy professors now who are trying to make the term minor attracted persons.
I'll fight everybody.
Everybody. I'll fight them all. I'll punch a lady.
It's so crazy. Because, you know, the weird thing about that, because there was this whole push, you know, about drag queens. And, dude, I've been to drag shows.
This guy
They're great.
arrested for
I
embezzling,
don't think they
but
need to
it
be reading
turns
at
out
kindergarten.
he
That's
owes
just my
half the
personal
city.
opinion. Right?
Got
and
spooked
now
by
they all
loan
get,
sharks
a lot
and
of
went
them get
totally
busted
dark.
with having weird
He's been off
past,
the radar
right?
ever since.
And the reason
Luckily
I do
for
that
us,
is like whether
everyone
it's the
slips up
child sex
eventually.
changes and all that stuff. It's like most of the people pushing that stuff, okay, are in therapy for trauma that occurred to them as children. And now they're totally fine with traumatizing children with weird ass shit. Like, to me, like, kindergarten should be A's, B's, C's, adding you know, math. It shouldn't
Play
be
games, football.
Yeah, like drag queens seem like algebra to me, like really advanced shit that most adults don't even quite understand.
Why would you ever do anything sexual to people that are not It's not just gross, it's disturbing, and we're also ignoring the fact that human beings are extremely malleable. You can convince people of all sorts of things. You can influence people to do all sorts of things. We know that. That's why cults exist, right? That's why you can get. Why do you
What
think
you need,
they
boss?
get little
Some
kids
wheels?
become
I can bring them
suicidal?
round.
Because they don't know any better. Try getting a 55-year-old guy with a wife and kids and a job to be a suicide bomber. You're like, what? Try getting some fucking guy in New Jersey that takes the train into Manhattan every day.
It's on the way.
Try to get
I'll
that
get
guy
back
to
to
be a
it
suicide
then.
bomber. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So our friend Chad's here dug himself into quite the shithole. Turns out these aren't just regular loan sharks that want to hang him up by the nipples. It's the goddamn Iranian mob. Apparently the boss loaned him some money, and he lost it all betting on the Corkers to win the playoffs. Can you fucking imagine?
There was this
They suck
documentary
ass.
where there was a school in the Middle East, and they were talking about today's students are tomorrow's holy martyrs, and it was printed on the wall, and in it they had photographs of various children.
Hey, thought I'd shoot over a pic so you know what you're looking for out there.
Wearing the vest.
That's one of the cell towers. You should be able to spot them from the rooftops, right?
Bananas. But that's the playbook. The playbook is you get young people that don't know any better because they're easily influenced. So in the guise of all this woke
Once you find a
shit,
tower,
people
just
have put
stick the device I
aside
gave you
what
on
is
it and let that baby do
fundamental
the
about
rest.
human nature. There's a reason why you don't let children get tattoos, because they make poor decisions. So why are you letting them get their dick cut off?
I couldn't agree more. It's like, what insane world are we okay with children cutting their dick? It just makes no. When
Or
you
cutting their breasts off, or taking hormone blockers. Oh, did you see the latest one?
I hope
New
the
York Times wrote
monsters
about
don't
this.
beat us to good old Jazzy.
This study
They
on
want as
hormone
bad as we
blockers
do,
for children,
maybe even
and they
more.
decided to
So I
not
wouldn't be
release the
surprised if they
study
were watching his phone
because
too.
the study would empower people who against. Go to J.K.
Okay,
Rowling's
you got that one.
tweet about this because she had the perfect response to this. Her response to this was so perfect. The whole thing is completely insane. If you're going to do a study that proves that hormone blockers are good for children and you find out it's not, the correct thing to do is say, hey, we just found something out and we shouldn't give hormone blockers to kids. Forget about this is just for like happiness sake. We must not publish a study that says we're harming children because people who say we're harming children will use the study as evidence that we're harming children, which might make it difficult for us to continue to harming children.
So sad and tragic that people are
Unbelievable.
okay with this.
U.S. study on puberty blockers goes unpublished because of politics, doctor says. The leader of the long-running study said the drugs did not improve mental health in children with gender distress and that the findings might be weaponized by opponents of the care, and should be, because they're not only that, there's severe health consequences. Also, there's the other bullshit that you can just like reverse them at any time. That's not true. You're using them during the developmental cycle of a child.
Yes.
During the developmental cycle of a child, it determines like what their penis size is going to be. Like some of these kids that they do it to, and then they try to have gender transition surgery, they don't have a penis that they can turn into a vagina, so they start using their rectal tissue. So then their artificial vagina smells like shit, literally, because it's made out of rectal tissue. And so there's all these online forums, people talking about the malodorous fake vaginas that they got from these operations. And then you have to keep it dilated.
It's basically a wound that you got to put in, and at some point that wound's going to not start smelling good because it's not meant to be there.
Well, I mean, maybe you could, if it was made out of a dick, maybe you can keep it from smelling like anything other than dick. it's gonna smell like dick. It's made out of dick.
Yeah, right.
But it's like
damn, your
earrings.
pussy smell like dick.
Like if you have a pierced ear, sometimes those holes seal up, right? So you have to keep a peg in there. You have to keep an earring in there in order to keep the hole open.
Right.
Otherwise it'll close up, and you have to reopen it. They have to do that with their fake vaginas. They'll heal up.
And I just don't understand as a parent how you can't go, no, we're not going to do this. I don't understand why you would allow the thing that is the most beautiful thing in the world, your child, to go through that. I don't understand that, because my whole thing is protect my children at all costs. As much as I can, I protect them from as much as I can. And to allow this to happen at that age, be like, yeah, just do it, major surgery at 5. I mean, how early is it? 10, 12, 13? Like,
crazy.
Come on.
What kind of plan is that? It's a decision that's going to haunt them for the rest of their life if they don't agree with it. If they're unhappy with it, and there's a lot of deep transitioners, a lot. And they get shunned. Oh my God, they get attacked so hard. It's so crazy. Imagine someone that's been coerced into doing something horrible, they'll never have children again, ruin their life. They get older and they realize, like, oh, I'm just a gay man, now I don't have a dick. Or, oh, I'm just a girl who had autism and was confused. Now my breasts are removed and I have a deep voice. Forever.
it's so tragic.
Can't have children, forever. Your life is ruined in the name of woke, and not just that, but also in the name of money. This is where it gets fucked. Because when you look at the amount of money that's generated by this, like, if you go back to, like, gender transition surgery places, like gender affirming care centers in, like, 2007, there's a couple. There's a few.
Yeah.
Because there's always been transgender people. There's always been people that have gender dysphoria. And then there's people that have autogynephilia. And the autogynephilia people are the people that are sexually aroused by the idea of dressing up like a woman, but they like women. And those are the fucking creeps that walk around women's bathrooms with
that was that
hard-ons.
swimmer they said that they had that.
I'm sure. There's been a bunch of them like that. They get aroused by the idea of dressing up like a woman, but they're heterosexual. So they're protected under the same banner. So you've empowered perverts and molesters to go into women's room and stare at women while they're peeing with their dicks out.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. They get a kink out of walking around women's locker rooms with their hard-ons. And this is, or their dicks out, but this is just one aspect of it. And then there's people that really do have a mind of a woman. They're trapped in a man's body, and maybe gender transition is a thing for them, but they should be like protected from making a poor decision while they're young.
Yes. At 18, light yourself up like a Christmas tree.
It really shouldn't be 18.
Or 21, 24, 25.
Whatever it is, whatever age we figure out.
Yeah.
But people make, especially men, the frontal cortex in a man doesn't even really fully evolve until they're like 25 years old.
I think mine was 50.
I think mine was 52.
Yeah. But it's interesting because it's this thing we kind of see in society right now in our culture where they're trying to make outlaw shit mainstream. Like when I was growing up, there was always that story that there was a city in Colorado where everyone went to get transitioned, and you went out there and that's where you did it. You didn't see it like centers everywhere. Yeah, for a long time, Colorado was the place where I always heard you went to go get your dick cut off and stuff like that, right?
Well,
Which is
partner,
fine.
I can
Again,
confirm
live your
you
life.
hadn't
When I
the
was
shit
growing up in a
out of
small
those.
town,
Just
I
give me
don't
a
think we
second
had
to
any
find
friends.
this
I think
guy.
we had maybe one, and they lived their life. And they lived that outlaw lifestyle. Same thing with adult film stars, right? Like when I was, I did the Naughty Show. I interviewed all these adult film stars. That was way before OnlyFans, and now like your secretary is an OnlyFans, and they don't understand the lifestyle that comes with being an outlaw, right? Which is like there's a reason why porn stars live, like the average age is like 38 years old in lifespan, right? There's like, if you go and you start, like there's people on YouTube that put together like these in memoriam of adult film stars. They're all super young and it's all like ODing, suicide, murder. It's not an easy lifestyle. There's certain people that are built for that, and it comes from traumas in childhood that, they can't really
imagine the people that you're associating with every day, the men who are sleeping around.
It's an outlaw lifestyle. It's same thing with the trans stuff. They're trying to make it so the normies are doing it. It's like they're not built for that. There's a certain kind of person built for that certain lifestyle.
That business got wiped out by the internet. Remember how there was all these like bailouts of businesses? Isn't it funny that no one bailed out porn?
Yeah, it's so crazy, dude.
It's so crazy, dude. I used to live in this gated community, real nice neighborhood, and there was a dude who lived down the street who actually did jiu-jitsu with me, and he was a porn star.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And he made porn films, and so he was loaded. This dude had a fucking fat Mercedes and a beautiful house, and his house is apparently like just a playground, like this. He was just balling, out of control, and producing porn. And then the internet came along, and bang, house got repossessed, lost everything. Everybody went broke. They went from making millions every year to making $0.
Yes.
Because all the porn was legal and it was all online.
And it's tubes, and you go into why is that a thing? Why is this porn all free? Why is that suggestion bar over there suggesting some weird shit to me? Like, it just brings you deeper and deeper into the way.
You keep clicking on links, and links put up ads. There's some banging out ad revenue left and right.
They were getting some straight, like, normal ads too, like a Ford truck I once saw on Pornhub, which was a really weird commercial before you're about to watch interracial gangbangs, right? It's like,
I bet all that's done in a sneaky way. I bet all that's probably done in a sneaky way. I bet the companies don't even know what they're advertising. You know, I bet it's like a block of ad that goes to like some conglomerate. And, I mean, you got to think of how much money must be involved in those streaming sites now.
And how many views they're getting. If you go to a video, it's got 3 million views. Why is that any different than watching a stand-up special that has 3 million views?
Because you're not paying attention to the fucking ads on the right-hand side, because you're going full screen every time.
Yeah, it's really crazy. But the game changed, and I always think this is like kind of
here it is right here. 2006, pornography industry generated $12 billion in annual revenue, which is more than the combined annual revenues of ABC, NBC, and CBS. In 2023, the pornographic website market in the U.S. is projected to be valued at $1 billion. So they lost $11 billion. That's with crazy. All the rebounding. That's the rebounding, right? So there was a complete devastation from 2006, which is right about the time that this fucking dude lost his house. I think he lost his house like 2008 or something like that. So they just, once the porn and all that shit came along, it just took the fucking legs off of it.
Look around and see if he stashed some anywhere.
Oh yeah, that's got to be off the charts.
Yeah, that's crazy too, and that's an interesting.
But here's the thing: that is the most empowering way for porn stars, right? Because they are
they get rid of the pimp.
They get rid of the pimp. They get rid of the producers. They make their own revenue, and a lot of it is like boyfriends and girlfriends decide to film, you know, like fucking amateur stuff. People love that stuff, and that is like an insane amount of money, and they're making it. They're making all of it, which. That's the most
Some of them are. I think there's this big thing where they're like, this chick made $1 million, and then you study like what the average person makes. It's like $100. I saw this great meme where it's like you started OnlyFans, you made $10, but now everybody in your town knows you have a pepperoni nipple.
Yeah, there's definitely that. It's not always successful. That's for sure. The median income for OnlyFans creators is $4,995 a year, according to Keeper, tax filing service for the freelance workers. However, it is likely some creators make a lot of money while others make none at all. So for the median to be $499, that means some girls are making $20.
Yep.
Yeah, some girls are making $20. So what was my point? My point was
the point is it used to be an organized kind of like a real industry, and now it's not that, and it's Wild West, and everybody's doing these. You know what's really weird, dude, is how similar comedians and porn stars' business models are. They're almost exactly the same if you study it, right? It's like we have podcasts, they have OnlyFans, right?
They put clips up on Twitter,
yeah,
which is wild. That Twitter during all the censorship. Still full-on hardcore porn always on Twitter, which is really crazy that nobody pushed back against that. That never went away.
And now snuff films. It's so crazy to me.
That's a lot of Instagram. Instagram's a lot of fun. I watched a guy today get stomped to death. That same video, the guy got stomped to death by the elephant. I had to watch it again. What the fuck, man?
Dude, it is crazy. My algorithm on Instagram, I hate it, dude. I hate it. It's all buttholes, dude.
So many people die.
I can't get away from it.
Red Band got me turned on to ladies who find the loophole to show their tits by breastfeeding fake babies. So they have this big juicy tit, and they pull this hot girl in a sundress, pulls out this big juicy tit, and sticks it in the mouth of a rubber baby, and you're like, hey.
I was at the airport flying here, and like, I love children. Like, especially now I have kids, I realize how magical they are. And like, kids like we used to when I was coming up. It's just always having kids.
Now what the hell was that?
Donuts, but so I'm
that's why we need immigrants.
You gotta be shitting me.
That's why we need
Those
to keep the
maniacs just blew up
I
the
see that.
plant.
I do.
Now get a replacement working for you, all right? The drop point will be with you soon.
Mexicans are having kids now. Dude, that's crazy. Yeah, like, dude, I saw this chart which stated like the birth rate of all these groups. It is not the only place that's only down 20%. Jamaica. They're still dropping dick. Nobody else
probably
is.
don't have a lot of plastic over there. But part of it is reproduction.
Okay, just follow the train tracks outside the warehouse. Should lead you right to the new van.
Thanks, dude. I'm telling you, bro. We're
maybe.
Where nobody
Remember that
has
movie
kids.
that was like ridiculous? Everybody's like, that's crazy.
I think the mobsters figured out that y'all ain't dead yet. They're back on the
I mean, it's going
hunt.
to get to a point where abortion rights are going to be moved. Like, it's not really important because nobody can have kids.
Nobody's. Yeah, it's really sad.
It's weird because this is what happens in industrialized civilizations anyway. So whenever you have like cities, what happens is women enter the workforce, so they have children later. And then men want to have children later as well because everybody's focusing on the career. And then you have IVF centers and everything because people are too old to have kids. They're late 30s, like, oh my God, we have to do something to have a kid. We don't have any time. Freeze the embryos, do whatever we got to do. And so it's normal for third world countries to have more kids. You know, that's always been the case because you need children to help you work. You know, if you're working on a farm or a ranch or you need kids. And then you get to cities and people are like, well, the wife wants a career as well. And you know, birth rates always drop. But you get to places like Japan or South Korea.
It's crazy.
They're catastrophic.
Everyone's watching eel porn. Nobody wants to get hooked up with the bitches.
Well, it's not even that, man. It's work. It's work. You know, especially in South Korea. You know, they're very hardworking. It's a very hard work ethic. And the population drops so bad that it's something crazy. Like 1 out of 100 people today will have grandchildren. Something bananas
that is
like that.
so nuts to me. And it, you know what else is kind of crazy? Like what feminism has done. And I think we're in big trouble. Our gene pool's in big trouble. Like, especially if you take a look at like how many, there's like so many OnlyFans. It's unbelievable, right? And that lifestyle, when you're a gorgeous woman like that lifestyle that you start to go into OnlyFans, that kind of like shuts certain doors in your house. And one thing that is going to happen is like high-value males probably want an adult film star as the mother of their children. Right. And these are like Viking bitches, right? Like, you know, these big old juicy titties and all that stuff. They should be putting out super soldier kids. Right. But because these high-value males don't want that, that's going to fuck that gene pool up. And then you look at college, and you have these really smart, or I'll say intelligent women don't want to have kids. So now you got the smart ones not having kids, and the super built ones not having kids. It's going to be like super devastating to the gene pool. It's going to get really weird, man. I think we lived through the best times, and I know every generation says that about the next generation, but I think we had it great like that.
But isn't like OnlyFans kind of like hitting the lottery plus shame? Right? Like you got money that's coming out of nowhere, so you're gonna burn through it. Likely, probably not gonna be the best business person. Maybe you are. Maybe you're investing it.
I wanted to.
Maybe you know how to change your identity.
I like to be a financial consultant to the strippers. Like I always wanted to do that. Like help them invest stripper money. Put a call on this. Put a put on
they
that.
Must all have OnlyFans, right?
Oh, what, dude? They said like 30% of Miami is OnlyFans.
What?
Yeah, it's like some crazy number.
Google that. What were you saying, Jamie?
I've seen OnlyFans creators say that like if some of the strippers only had enough self-confidence to know that they could just be on OnlyFans instead of going to strip club.
Perhaps. Google what Sam said about OnlyFans in Miami.
That's like some crazy high number.
Well, he's dead, but we did it.
Yeah,
Let's take our buddy Chaz down to the morgue.
I went to Dunkin' Donuts. I saw a chick working there. I was ready to leave everyone I loved for, too.
It was only a matter of time for Chaz, I think. Armenians today, triads tomorrow, you know. The list of people that wanted to wreak his neck is crazy long.
It's the Latino San Diego, and then San Diego was the white Miami. That's how it goes, dude.
When you do that, you end up dead.
You go to San Diego.
Guess they won't get their loan back now,
What is
huh?
going on?
Wonder how that
Because they're
works.
not in the show business.
100.
Hey, a body's a body. I'll send over your bill for Chaz.
They don't need any attention.
Probably sitting at a
They're not
blackjack
trying
table
to
in
get
heaven
famous.
right now.
They're just being normal people.
Like
They
that
want
hell.
They're just normal people.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the main things that was appealing to me when I first started looking at Austin. When I would come here, I'm like, these people are so normal. They're nice. They're just nice people. They're ideal.
They're
you
just
know?
living their life.
You get so used to that Hollywood warrior.
I hate
that
it.
Hollywood weird world, that way of behaving and thinking. It's all wrapped around narcissists. It's all wrapped around the entertainment business, and it's all wrapped around these people that dictate whether or not you work. You know, these overseers of the industry.
I get asked to audition for stuff all the time. I'm like, I'm done. I'm tired of going in there auditioning for someone who probably couldn't do the role anyway, so I'm trying to impress them, and I can't act. I'm a horrible actor. I'm functionally illiterate. I can't write. I can only do one thing. It's talk mad shit, and that's it. I'm lucky to have a career doing that.
That's a thing.
Thank God.
Thank God
at
that's
the
a
right
thing.
time, I just started podcasting
If you and I
with you
were
in
in a
Red
tire
Band.
shop,
We'd be
oh my God, we'd be fucking doomed.
We'd
We
be
would just be
so
making each other
fucked.
laugh, and we'd be constantly getting fired.
I love 6th Street energy. I love going there and just feeling the energy.
Yeah.
It reminds me, dude, of like, you remember Hollywood Sunset Boulevard in like 98? When like Kobe and Shaq were crushing it with the Lakers, and it was just chaos. And we didn't know how good we had it, and it was so much fun. And now that's all gone.
Well, also, we were undercover, right? Because even though I was on TV, nobody knew who the fuck I was in 98. It
Yeah.
was like we were just kids. We were just young guys, like, in this wild business, and we couldn't believe we were working in Hollywood, working at the Comedy Store, you know, and then all these celebrities come by, Quentin Tarantino there, and Dr. Dre there. You're like, what the fuck? This is crazy. Couldn't even believe it was real. Dice Clay's there, like, what?
My favorite, listen, there's 2 times at the Comedy Store that I loved. Obviously, when you came back and it was just fire, and it was like every show was selling out instantly. But there was also that dead period at the store where it was like we could just go up and bomb with dignity and nobody cared. There was nobody in the OR. You were just eating a dick and you felt great about yourself because it was like towards the end of Mitzi's, like, she was still in control, but she wasn't like
That was
hands-on.
2007 to 14.
Yeah, it was just.
Yeah,
it
that's
was,
when I was gone.
Yeah, no, it was right before you
before.
left too. You were the. I loved you. You were the only one putting your name on the marquee still. You know, you'd have these guys popping in, doing an hour. Their name weren't on the marquee. It was chaos, man.
But the reason why they did that is because they had this erroneous idea that you wouldn't sell tickets in LA if your name was at the Comedy Store. People knew they could see you at the Comedy Store. Why would they go see you at the Forum?
Yeah.
And I was always like,
That's
who
stupid.
says who?
Yeah.
Says who?
Yeah.
Says who?
So I always appreciate you putting your name on a marquee because we got to perform in front of like packed crowds. But during the week, I remember I'd walk up. Steve Renazizi's still working at the cash register, and he's like, "Should I get a new job?"
I'm on the clock. What you want? Some wheels?
People in the OR. That was like 90.
I'll bring it to you.
To like 2003.
Yes. And I got in 98, and it was I always said it's the purest comedy ever was because the inmates were running the asylum.
Oh yeah.
And you could just you could go do a set, do blow over there, have a great time, live your life. And it was such a blessing because everybody that was there during that time has gone on to do amazing things. They're all over Netflix, their podcasts are huge because we were allowed to just bomb with dignity.
We were allowed to experiment.
Yeah.
Which is so important for creating comedy. You got to take chances and you got to try things. And if you're just trying to kill all the time, you're going to do your best material always. And the store kind of got to be that for a while. Like 2000, yeah, 14 on. The problem was it was packed that way. When I came back, all of a sudden it was like the new gold rush, and it was every night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 shows, 3 shows, sold out. Everything was sold out. Our shows were amazing crowd, enthusiastic comedy fans. It was because they were internet comedy fans. It became like a different thing. Because before it was like, let's go see comedy. They didn't give talk about comedy. So if you've got a laugh, you earn that fucking laugh.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the way I always say is the store goes through these different eras, right? So it went through the Richard Pryor era. When Richard Pryor's filming Live on Sunset Strip in like the early 80s. I mean, this was like the thing. Like, you'd go see Richard Pryor at the Comedy Store. And I'm sure the Comedy Store, from everybody that, like, Dom Herrera and people I talked to, was hopping back then. And then was the Kinnison era. And then Kinnison, I think around 88, got banned from the store. And something happened, and I don't know what he did. He probably shot somebody or something. I know he shot one of the signs in the back.
They replaced sign, like, so sad. It's like, dude, that was a bullet hole from San Francisco. Leave it there.
Leave it there. So then, after that, there was this giant drop-off. That's when I came along. I came along in 94.
Merriweather, for all your...
It was like, I had heard about the Comedy Store was Mecca. When I lived in Boston, everybody was like, Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor, Stan Kinison, David Letterman.
Okay, target selected.
It was like this magnet you had to get to. I got to get to the Comedy Store. And then when I got there, I was like, what? It was like Bodaks. It was like the leftovers, the people that were around in the 70s and the 80s, but never, they were lazy, they were fucked up, they never got their shit together, and they had these terrible acts. And I remember being there, and the crowd was like non-existent, no one was there. I was like, wow, this is the Comedy Store? And it was like that
for a couple years.
When you came in 98, it was like that in 98. So it was 94 to around the internet. And then the internet started getting the Comedy Store back because we were all on like not OnlyFans, MySpace.
Yeah.
We were all advertising shows on MySpace, and that got Dane Cook led that, right?
Dane Cook changed the game, I always
say. That was like 2002-ish, somewhere around then, 2002, 2003. That's when it really fucking kicked in. And then Fear Factor was huge. So then my name was on the market back then. So then it was packed again. And then it was internet fans. So it was a totally different vibe. It was like a really fucking good time. In 2007, I left.
You're through to your garage. You need me to bring you a ride?
When you came back, like
okay, I got stuff to do.
It was a big event. And everyone's so excited. Things just changed. Just became overnight. But I always could tell whether you or Joey Diaz was on the lineup.
You calling for some wheels?
When you weren't on the lineup,
Johnny on the spot.
Totally
I'll hook you up.
And I'm like, oh, Triple's gonna have to work tonight, dude. It's gonna be a rough one. We're going to war. We're gonna lose some soldiers tonight.
Well, you know, if you threw Joey up on the show,
it's coming at you. I'll get back to it then.
In real trouble. But also, like,
you learn a lot about yourself.
Oh yeah,
it's an education.
Oh yeah. Especially Joey in the OR. Joey in the OR was almost impossible to follow. And then
our peacekeepers were unable.
All the taboos have been destroyed.
Yeah.
We just did 15 minutes on eating ass and shoving his nose in someone's ass. Doing the pigeon. And destroyed the room. Like, people couldn't breathe. They were laughing so hard they couldn't breathe. People were knocking drinks on the table, falling off the ground. It was normal to see people fall on the ground and Joey's on the table. So, but the thing is, it's like all the taboos were shattered and you can just have fun. You know, you can just do anything. You just have a good time.
I felt like that in the club last night.
Oh yeah.
I felt like that. Like, it was so funny because I came out and I did Kill Tony 2 weeks ago, and you know, I took Tony on his first road gig. You can actually watch. There's a video on YouTube where I used to do something called Before and After, and I would interview like I think 4 guys on the road. I'd interview them before the show, and then I would interview them after the show because I know it's going to be chaos. Right. And you've seen Tony's first gig. He hasn't been on the road. He's on the internet. And now, you know, and I did Before Tony super early. So, you know, that's kind of how I thought the show was, how it was when it first started. So, I call up Red Band, I hit up Red Band and tell him, like, hey, man, my special's on, can I come and do the show? They're like, yeah, come on. So I'd be telling people, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm doing Kill Tony. People, it's like I'm having a kid. Like, I'm going to have a new child come into the world. People are like, I'm so happy for you. You deserve it. You're doing great. You deserve I'm like, I didn't realize what I was walking into.
Bro, when you should come to Madison Square Garden. When you see
I don't know why I didn't go. I was like, Dana's like, why didn't you go? I go,
Kill Tony.
We could have done that. We could have gone. I didn't even think about it.
You could have done a set.
Yeah, I wish I could have
Kill
gone.
Tony in Madison Square Garden was so insane. So for me, it was so emotional. Like, I had to be there because I was there when he was doing it in front of 18 comics in the belly room.
Yes,
there was no
there
audience.
too.
No audience.
Yeah.
I was a frequent guest, and it was just fun. It was just a thing we would do. We'd fuck around, and I thought it was a great workshop for comedy. And I thought it was a great way for these amateurs, these people that were doing 1 minute, to just kind of get feedback from guys like Dom Herrera and to like kind of figure out how to do comedy.
Yes.
It's like it's a little bit of a training wheel for doing comedy. Also, tremendous pressure, even back then. But imagine, like, someone went up in Madison Square Garden. It was their first time on stage.
Where do you go from there?
You don't. You don't. The bombing was horrendous. But 16,000 people and rabid Kill Tony fans in front of this amazing band now. And you got Dice Clay's there, Shane Gillis is there, Mark Norman. I mean, it's fucking
all my
bananas. It was bananas. Dave Attell.
I wish I would.
It was incredible.
I didn't even think to go. I was like, man, why didn't I go? All my friends were there. I saw Ari.
I wish I talked to you about it.
Yeah,
you should have went. It was fucking amazing.
But I'm there, right?
Yeah, welcome.
And I do
so
Kill
glad
Tony,
you could
and
make
like,
it.
I just feel this freedom I haven't felt in a long time.
Now haven't
There's
we
a
met
shadow in the
already?
cave in Hollywood.
Have you met
of
Ron?
Cancel
Have you?
culture.
Well, either way, it
and
doesn't
people are
matter.
just afraid.
Congratulations.
I mean, they're just afraid.
Well, they're also afraid of not getting gigs.
all now have
so
jobs in a
the
startup.
problem with LA is
This
that
is
even the
it.
comics that were really good at
Trevor
one point in time, they started
Phillips
getting TV gigs.
Industries.
And then they backed off. They
Welcome
backed off
aboard.
what they did. And I felt that. When I was on news radio, my fucking producer said this to me, he goes, why are you still doing comedy? You're an actor.
I
was
am
like,
not
no.
a drug dealer.
My immediate thought was like, oh no, like I could get stuck here doing this.
We're locavores.
I was just doing this for money.
Huh?
I was doing this because I couldn't believe someone would pay me $25,000 a week.
Green.
I
We
was
take
like,
the
what
drugs
are you talking
that already
about? That's
exist in
insanity.
America, and
I was
we
like,
add
oh my
value
God, I'm a
to
baller.
their supply
I couldn't, it's
chain.
1994. I was like,
And
this
that is what all of you will be doing.
I'm 26
Now,
years old
first
and I'm
off,
making this
Ron,
insane amount of money. Like,
we
this is
will
nuts.
be borrowing
And
a
so I
couple
went
bricks of
from that
cocaine from
to
some
this
juiced up frat boys
realization
on a
that
yacht
this
off
could
the
be a
coast.
trap. And I was
Then
like, oh no, I'm doubling down. I'm going to
beat
get after
the
it. I'm going
Lagos
to really
to
get
their
after
supply of
comedy. I'm
moldy
going to do the
pills.
same kind of comedy.
Now, our guys
and
do
I've thought about
pick
that
up
during
and
the Fear
trash
Factor
trucks,
days too.
and
I'm
so
like, if I lose Fear Factor because of
are
comedy,
you.
so be it. But I am
We're gonna
not.
be.
Dude, that's why I love you. You're such a wordsmith. You love the art. I've always felt that from you. You've always loved the art, and I've always totally respected that in you because you could have slide. And I know you you take a notepad and you write and you work those bits and you listen to yourself and you always
we're gonna get the pills, we're gonna get the cocaine, or we could get the pills, the meds,
which is
fucking
fucking
whatever.
bananas.
You're gonna
I
get
loved it, dude.
You're gonna
I was so
bring it to
happy for
Ron,
you
and
because
then
I know
we're
how much
gonna
time you
fucking
put
get moving.
into it.
Plus, also doing it live was like scary.
It's crazy,
Which is
dude.
why I wanted to do it live. I was like, fuck it. Let's do it live.
It was great, dude.
Let's do it like fucking Bill
was
O'Reilly.
fun.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Bro, it's so nuts because most people don't know this about specials is most people record multiple shows so they could edit it together so they get the best representation.
Yeah.
To go up there and like last night I did the smaller room in your club and there was a couple moments where I flubbed some words and I was like, don't crash the plane. Don't crash the plane. stay in the pocket, dude. You just flubbed a couple words. It's okay. And then you write it, and then you go.
Yeah.
Like, to do it live is crazy.
But you know what it made me realize? That I could do more in regular comedy. Like, I could work more. I could work harder. You know, you remember the movie Mo Better Blues?
Yeah.
Loved that movie. One of the things I loved about that movie was like the discipline that Denzel Washington's character had. Like his girlfriend's trying to fuck. He's like, no, I gotta practice. I'm like, I don't even practice. I was thinking that, like, I hardly practice. I hardly write. I write occasionally. I would write back then, especially. I write a lot more now, but I would write occasionally. I sit there and write. When I got ready for the special, I would write every day. And I was downloading my bits every day. I was listening to them. I was writing them down. I was writing them out the day of the show. I was writing them out the day of the show. I was listening to the recordings. I watched the film. I was like, I'm enjoying the and then when I start to know, if I do that all the time, everything would be so much better.
How do you keep all this stuff going? I know actually, but I'm like, oh, dude, he's so busy. I wouldn't expect him to roll over. Constantly blowing up, and I'm not even close to what. I don't know how you keep everything going and not like it's amazing to me because I'm constantly like on the verge of like I'm just gonna fake my own death and disappear.
Well, one day I'll probably disappear, but what I'm doing is exact the amount I can do. So I have it in a good situation, right? So my situation is I work out in the morning while my kids are in school. I come here, I do the podcast, and then I do stand-up at night when everybody's going to bed. And that's what I did in LA too. Like a lot of those shows that I did, like Joe Rogan and Friends show I did in the main room, I did it at 10 o'clock. The reason I did it at 10 o'clock, my kids are already in bed. So it's perfect. I have dinner, hang out with the family, go, and then I write late at night. Because that's when I'm the most juicy. When I come home from a show, and my brain's fired up, and I can sit in front of a computer. Maybe I said one thing that I think could be something, and I'll just listen to that thing, and I'll start writing. Because like some of the best words I've come up with over the last couple of years, all the stuff that I actually wrote. Not just ideas that came to me that I fleshed out on stage. And I've had some of those that became bangers, but the sitting down and writing things out and trying to get my perspective. And some lines that were just, we lost a lot of people during COVID. And most of the show. I wrote down, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, we lost those people. But that came out of writing. From these things that I was writing out, like that, I took chunks of them, and that became the bit. God damn it, I gotta be more focused. So doing that live special really lit a fire into my ass.
It's so insane, dude. People have no clue how that is. If anyone who's ever shot a special has to be like, that's insanity, dude, to do that because most people don't have the ability to do that. And I respect you, and I've always done that because you do have the discipline. And now that I've gotten sober, like, that's what I work on is discipline. The getting into a routine of go and work out, get this done. And now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I always was a stage writer. I mostly just wrote on stage, tagged it, and could remember it and get the beats down in my head. But now that, like, in November, I'll be doing stand-up for 30 years. Most people are retiring from whatever they're doing at that time. I still absolutely love stand-up comedy. But now I've kind of talked about all the things. I really used to get downloads, dude. Like, I would get downloads of jokes. Jokes would come to me fully formed, and I would just go on stage and do them. Like, I remember one day I'm sleeping, I just wake up and like, the 7 stages of grief of shitting your pants, right? I just had the joke, like, right there, and it's like this, I did it on my special, it's a great bit, But now, I've kind of tapped into everything. And I heard Doug Stanhope talk about this one time. Yeah. Where he's like, I talked about everything I cared about.
Yeah, but you know what Doug told me? That was changed already.
I don't know.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's the steroids of comedy.
I'm thinking about, I'm December 9th will be 4 years. I'm still thinking for Mr. I do want to microdose during jiu-jitsu, but that's about it. That's the one thing.
Listen, you don't have to. You don't have to do drugs. You can.
No, I don't want to.
You can stay on this path and be incredibly creative without drugs. It's just some people drugs are not good for. Just like some people should eat.
Well, it's just the point is like now I'm sitting down and writing, and I'm like sitting down and I'll write. My goal is at night to do like 30 minutes of stretching, 30 minutes of writing, and then 30 minutes of reading.
That's 30 more minutes than you would have done if you didn't. Yeah. Add that up. That's fucking hours in a week. You add that up to jokes, you're going to have 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there.
If you can get one good bit a week, that's about 5 minutes. By the end of the year, you're going to be, or like 5 good minutes a month. Just got to get 5 minutes a month.
And then you have a whole hour there.
That's impressive. And then if you do that 2 years, you go from 20 minutes down to a murder 60. Yeah. So that's what I'm working on now. I like about that.
You have 5 good minutes a month. You have 12 months out of the year. You're going to have 50 fucking minutes. Maybe, when you trim it down, maybe a little less. But that's pretty fucking good. That's pretty goddamn good.
And I'm trying right now to really work on, like, taking my experiences and turning them into jokes. Instead of just doing observations, which is fine. But I'm trying to take experiences that are real to me as authentic to who I am. And sometimes I could wander into some stuff where I'm like, I'm sure somebody already said that.
station boner pills
Forever.
He was the guinea pig. He would get the different ones. He'd be mad when the gas station ran out of them. And he was telling me the scam, how what would happen is they would test these things. They'd find out there's Viagra in them and a bunch of other shit. And so then they'd pull them off the market. And then they would just come up with a new company name and then sell the same shit.
Thank God.
And it was like, instead of Rhino, it was Steel Rhino and Iron Rhino and Golden Rhino.
But they're so powerful,
but
bro.
How crazy is that was a thing for a long time, was gas station boner pills.
They're still there, dude.
I never touched them.
I did.
I thought about it. There was a couple of times.
I loved it.
You know?
But I like the throttle, dude.
I was in a weak state of mind. And I saw that stack there while I was buying a pack of gum. Like, nope, I'm not going to do it. You know what I was scared? I was scared I'd love it. And I'd want to do them all the time. Because you really were taking a risk. You didn't know what was in those.
Yeah.
Let's find this out. How many people died from gas station boner pills? Because it's not zero. It's not zero. There has to be some guys that died.
That has to suck.
That has to suck.
That has to be right up there with the guy who died in Mr. Hands. Like, imagine going to that funeral.
That guy got fucked more than 100 times before that one.
You're through to your garage. You need me to bring you a ride?
In the video, Mr. Hands, that's not even the one he died. He died in a different video.
What?
That video was successful.
That was the good time?
That was a good time. Good time.
It's on the way. I'll get back to it then.
Horse nuts in his ass. And you look at that thing going up into his body cavity, and you're like, how?
How are you?
Where is it going? That's in his throat. That dick was my arm. Probably longer than my arm. That was a giant dick. But apparently, dudes are fisting, and they're really getting up in there. That's another Instagram rabbit hole I went down.
What?
How many guys died?
Hold on.
They get
on
up in
Instagram?
There. Yeah.
They're showing that?
No, they're talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Guys are talking about how far they get in there, and how they couldn't believe it, until they met the right queen. They could really get in there. How many people have died from gas station boner pills? Let's guess. I'm gonna say 1,200.
Really?
Yeah, 1,200 deaths, gas station boner pills, all time.
I'm gonna bid $1 only because I think that people are like, let's not tell them they died from a boner pill. So who's actually?
Probably Viagra. Probably Pfizer.
Pfizer's like, don't take that, take our shit.
Yeah, which is probably actually the smart thing to do.
I'm gonna go 26 people.
26.
26. Okay. Did we find out, Jamie?
Jamie, what we got?
The information I'm getting is going to be tough to get to because you'd probably die from a heart attack. So they're not going to say it was the gas station boner pill that killed you. I found nothing that's linked anybody to death. Not that that's not true, but
that's like COVID vaccines.
What other drugs are you on?
No one.
That's so crazy.
People just died.
So
what
crazy.
other drugs are you on if you're taking gas station boner pills enough to kill you? Also,
Right. You might be a wild boy.
That's not the only thing you took. So
you might be a wild boy.
I stumbled across something.
I'm a wild boy.
They call it gas station heroin. Have you heard of that?
Well,
that's what they call boner pills.
No, there's another drug that they're warning you to stay off of they call it gas station heroin.
It's a new one?
I've never even heard of it.
So is that like bath salts?
Remember
the bath salts?
Oh yeah.
It could be like that, but I don't know. I've never even heard this. I don't know what it looks like.
John McAfee, the guy who invented antivirus software.
Oh yeah, he was a wild
He was cooking up his own meth. Allegedly, I say this with all due respect, rest in peace. Rest in peace. Podcast by the way.
Great.
When he was running from the law, he was a guest on the podcast. He called in. It was a fascinating conversation. But John McAfee allegedly had a lab in his backyard.
You remember the CFO, COO, intern, and restroom attendant
Had
at
an
the startup?
online forum.
Okay, so you're about to go to the boat,
how
right?
he was making all
Trevor's
these
asked you
photographs
approach it from the
and
sea
showed the
and
lab
the
everything.
air,
And then
okay?
later,
Half of you are going to
thought
this
that it was
fiction,
actually
and the
him,
other
and so
half
he was
are
gonna
going to
parody
picnics,
it.
outdoors, in the plant.
Come on, guys.
Just so you
He
know,
seemed like
the
a
frat
good guy.
boys
Dude,
you're
he
going
lights up a
after
hook. God
move
bless.
weight, so they're like
His
ground security,
Yeah.
armed security, and the amount of
Product
juice they're
recall
on
announced
ain't
Neptune
known as a
Elixir.
mood stabilizer. So, well, I wouldn't expect it to roll over, just so you know. This chopper you're collecting the rental, and everything's prepaid on my wife, my ex-wife's credit card. So I ask you to be just careful with it.
Let's find out whatever that kratom stuff is fucking sketchy.
Yeah, it's like that pink cocaine where they're just like, it's just literally an everything bagel of drugs.
Oh, an antidepressant. Interesting. Sold under the brand name Stablon tatinol and coaxyl, among others. Atypical tricyclic antidepressant, which uses mainly in the treatment of major depressive disorder, although it may be used to treat anxiety, asthma, and irritable bowel syndrome. Oh, you're farting a lot? Have some heroin. Have some fucking gas station heroin. So this stuff, oh, it's an opioid agonist with opioid agonist effects.
What does that mean? For the elderly?
4 to 9 hours. Jesus Louises. So people are just drinking this stuff from gas station heroin. Here are 8 things to know. God, this is a new thing. They have pills too? Described before it became available as gas station heroin, tianeptine was prescribed to treat depression in dozens of countries. Now U.S. Poison Control Centers are reporting a dramatic spike in cases involving it, a drug that isn't FDA approved and one that authorities warn possesses overdose and dependency risk. Well, that kratom stuff definitely has overdose and dependency issues. I have a buddy of mine who's in treatment. He's in recovery. And he was taking kratom. And they were actually, they had this one company and it's in pills and did this stuff. So what do you do? It's great. You know, it's great pain relief. You have a low dose. It acts as a stimulant and higher doses of different. And so I tried. I was like, wow, this stuff's weird. This is interesting.
What was the high?
It's a weird it's not much. It's like a little pick-me-up for like a couple of pills. And so then I go, how many? He tells me he takes it before he works out. I go, how many do you take? He's like, I take 10.
What?
I go, you take 10? I go, okay, what's that like? I'll try 10. So I take 10. I was high as a kite. I was like, you are not in recovery. You are high. This isn't coffee. Because 2 was like a mild stimulant. I was like, oh, this is interesting. 10 was like, but it was interesting because I didn't lose any motor control function. So I worked out when I took the 10, and I went and hit the bag. I was like, that way I'll know. Like if my motor function's off, not at all. Nothing was off. So hand-eye coordination was perfect. Everything was the same. No, it wasn't drunk. It wasn't high where you're like, oh man, I'm fucking high. It was like, what is this? Some completely different pathway, but didn't affect my motor skills, which I thought was really interesting. Because like, I worked out, but I was like, high. And I called him, I'm like, bro, you are not in recovery. I'm like, you are high.
Yeah, that's so weird.
You're so high. This is so, whatever that is, I don't know what the dose was with 10 of these fucking pills. I was really high.
I did with that. Somebody gave me a 6 Zine. Is that Zin?
Oh, Zin, yeah.
They gave me a 6. I was drunk driving, dude. I had to pull over, be like, just calm down. Because they thought it'd be funny. I'm like, I don't feel anything. As I'm walking, I'm like, oh.
And that's interesting. You felt like you lost your motor control?
Oh, dude, I would, if everyone in AA didn't do Zines or Zins, I would say I relapsed. That's how like, all over the place I felt when I took this thing.
That's a big jump.
On a 6?
A 6.
Yeah.
Bro, Lucy's have 12s, and this is what is this one here? This might be an 8.
Oh, crap!
Oh, is it 12?
What do you know about it on the police scanner?
No, I'm not going to say real. Is it tobacco? Just tobacco?
No, it's just nicotine. Straight nicotine. But here's the thing. What I call Pablo, and they have a 50. Here's a 12. I'm going to pop a 12 now. Let's go.
You're going to pop a 12? Let's fucking go. Dude, I'll be throwing up in the corner.
I might get hiccups. I'm not going to throw up. But there's a company called Pablo's.
You have a 3? Supposed to be 3s?
No, these are 3s. This is a company called Athletic Nicotine. These are great. This is the perfect amount, in my opinion, to stimulate your mind, like before writing and before you go on stage. You tell me?
No, you tell me.
I'm not scared. Okay. So
if I just end up drooling by the end of this, it'll be cool, maybe?
You'll be fine. Callan found out that company that Kevin James recommended You know the company Trinity Gold? Trinity Gold has acetaminophen in it and 2 other pain relievers that are banned. Yeah. Callan made a big video about it because he contacted me. So this is interesting. Kevin James told me about it because Chris Weidman told him about it. Chris Weidman, UFC fighter, said, I'm using this. It's great. My joints feel great. And it's all natural.
For joints, I need joint stuff.
Yeah. Don't take this stuff. Trinity Gold contains, scroll up, so you read that, kidney drug ingredients. Food and Drug Administration is advising consumers not to purchase or use Trinity Gold, a product promoted and sold for joint and muscle pain. FDA laboratory analysis confirmed that Trinity Gold contains acetaminophen, diclofenac, and phenylbutazone. So diclofenac and phenylbutazone are banned, and they're fucking very dangerous. So here it is. Diclofenac is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, may cause decreased use of cardiovascular events, increased risk of cardiovascular events, such as heart attack and stroke, as well as serious gastrointestinal damage, including bleeding, ulceration, and fatal perforation of the stomach and intestines. The hidden drug ingredients may also interact with other medications and significantly increase the risk of adverse events, particularly when consumers use multiple non-steroidal anti-inflammatory containing products. So phenylbutazone is another non-steroidal anti-inflammatory that was discontinued for human use in the United States due to the risk of serious and life-threatening injuries. The most serious and life-threatening injury associated with phenylbutazone treatment is bone marrow toxicity.
Oh my God.
Which occurs when the body does not produce enough red blood cells, white blood cells, and or platelets. Certain types of bone marrow toxicity are reversible. However, in rare circumstances, it can lead to death. And so,
why would you take this?
So, Chris Weidman was under the impression that all the stuff in this was natural. He got it from this other guy, the guy who manufactures it, and he's in business with this guy. So Chris is now doing independent studies on his own to try to send other versions of it to the lab. The guy apparently is saying that he thinks someone sabotaged his product by putting shit in it and then getting it to the FDA and having the FDA test it. But another possibility is that this guy is a piece of shit.
Putting stuff in there that gets you
so
results.
Who knows? It'll be resolved. We'll find out. But in the meantime, Kevin James, who was taking it, as soon as Brian texted me, I texted Kevin, hey, the stuff you're talking about, look, this is what's in there. He's like, holy shit.
Yeah. I feel bad for fighters because that probably happens more than we probably know, where they take a supplement, they've been told it's fine, and then
That does happen. And then they get popped for steroids or for
that's awful.
Yeah, it's terrible. Especially when, Khalil Roundtree, it was DHEA, which isn't even a performance-enhancing supplement. It's just a natural supplement, but it's banned. So he got popped for that, and he turned himself in because he found out that the substance was in a supplement they were giving him, and he was like, "Hey, fucking idiots!" So he got a temporary ban for a couple months because it was clear that A, it was not going to have a performance-enhancing effect, and B, he was very transparent, and in fact, he reported it. But there's a lot of guys who get popped because they'll buy some shit from, GNC. And they think it's, it's fucking muscle builder. But, there's steroids in those things.
It's crazy. I feel so bad for those guys.
Well, when we were first making Alpha Brain, we were making it, what happens is you have a bunch of ingredients. You have a proprietary blend that is your supplement, whatever you're making. And so all these ingredients in Alpha Brain were shown to enhance cognitive function. And so we combined them, we did a bunch of different versions of it, came up with one double-blind, placebo-controlled test at the Boston Center for Memory. It finds out that we spent a lot of money on shit. But the company makes a bunch of other shit. And so we started doing third-party testing of our own product, and we're finding vitamins in there, and shit that's not supposed to be in there. But it's just in there because they didn't clean the guts. So then they have steroids and one thing, and then they clean it out, and then they're making gas station dip pills, and that's what they're not cleaning it.
That's my girlfriend. Dana has a peanut allergy, so she can't even go anywhere near that stuff. kind of gets into with the COVID stuff. Like the plane has the greatest air filter system out there. So you could literally smoke in the front row. And it
10-year mandatory minimum and maybe a felony murder.
I remember being stuck in the back because that was the only place I can get a seat. Was in the smoking section back when people did smoke on planes. It was
if you're asked,
yeah, it was in the back.
Under
The back was the
interrogation,
smoking section,
I wasn't
where the
here.
toilet was.
Unless
so
it's Trevor
and
who's
cigarettes the entire
interrogating,
flight.
in which case
Yeah,
I was very
that
much
thing
here.
Didn't work. I mean, maybe their ventilation systems weren't as good back then, but there was smoke everywhere back there. So even get a photo of the smoking section on an airplane in like the 1980s.
I remember I was playing a club called Riddles in Chicago, just outside. It's like, I forget what the city outside Chicago, but it was one of the last places that you could still smoke inside. And the stage was so high, so you would literally be like in the smoke.
So here's people smoking on an airplane.
That's so crazy, dude. Like when they always announce this is a non-smoking flight, like where are the smoking flights?
I remember we'd get in planes even in the 90s and there were still ashtrays in them.
Is that Alex Jones in the crowd?
Time traveler. I'm a fucking time traveler. That's Alex Jones' dad. Look at all these people smoking. Crazy. Smoking section of a plane. It looks fairly smoke-free. They probably had some ventilation back then. So this is 84 in Miami. Is this when this guy's smoking and they're interviewing him on the plane? Is this when they were trying to ban it?
Yeah, probably. This looks like a conversation.
I seem to be asking people about what they think.
When did they ban it? When did they ban in-flight smoking? Oh, let's take a guess. I'm going to say 94. What do you say?
I think it's way before that.
87.
Yeah, so 7 years.
Congressional action in 1987 led to a ban on in-flight smoking. In 88, airlines based in the United States banned smoking on domestic flights of less than 2 hours. So more than 2 hours you could smoke, which was extended to domestic flights of less than 6 hours in 1990 and to all domestic and international flights in 2000. International flights, 2000. Pilots were allowed to continue smoking after the 1990 ban due to concerns over potential flight safety issues caused by nicotine withdrawal in chronic smokers. Yo! Due to prohibition of smoking.
Do whatever they need to do to land the plane.
Yeah, give them a fucking patch. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration regulations mandate that functioning ashtrays be conspicuously located on the doors of all airplane bathrooms. This is because there must be a safe place to dispose of a lit cigarette if someone violates the no smoking rule.
That's why they're there.
1990, Air Canada adopted non-smoking policy on all of its routes. In 94, Canada was the first country to ban smoking on all flights operated by Canadian carriers, which also covered charter flights, but not foreign airlines flying to Canada. Wow. So basically 2000, they wrapped it all up.
Which I'm happy about.
Yeah. Wow. I remember being still have smoking. We'd come from LA. In the early days, the comic store didn't smoke. That's crazy. In the 90s, that's when it was. And I remember Drew Carey, of all people. They put a ban on smoking in all restaurants and bars in Los Angeles. And Drew Carey was protesting. And the idea is that no, right. He was one of the people. The idea was that like you're gonna kill the business, and you're gonna also freedom. Like people know that you smoke there. If you don't want to go to a place that's smoky, don't go there.
Yeah.
But the thing you have to think about is,
but now you can smoke weed.
Yeah. 1998, smoking Drew Carey. Yeah. I remember Drew Carey was like a outspoken guy about all this, and he's smoking. He's smoking at Barney's funeral. I guess he was a smoker. I didn't know he was smoking. Yeah, but all the music didn't show up. But it's all they were like, hey, we've always smoked. I think we're our freedom. But the thing you have to take into consideration is wages and bartenders. Yeah, those people die from lung cancer because of secondhand smoke. So secondhand, if you're only breathing in smoke, the whole place
all the time. Yeah.
Do you remember that gig we did in Toronto?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I probably rolling in the mist because you couldn't see.
Hey, what's up?
How
can I help?
Like just black figures moving, dark, shady figures.
How much are we talking about?
I'm
on it.
Was filled with weed smoke to the point where you literally could barely see. Like you weren't breathing air. You were breathing.
You were contact high the minute your foot hit the stage. You were on
smoke pot would go there. You were smoking pot. No. Guys who didn't smoke pot would go there and be obliterated. Like by the time they did their set, they couldn't remember the jokes. He was anxious, fucking scared.
Toronto's got a great comedy scene right now. I just did a gig up there, and it reminded me a lot of your club. Dude, those kids don't care, bro. They're saying everything to anybody all the time. I'm like, how is this possible?
Well, I think Canada is experiencing a lot of people that are rebelling against the tyrannical government. The government is so bad now, in Canada you can't post links to stories. So they did it in a very sneaky way, saying that the social media companies have to compensate the media outlets that have the thing. But the thing is, it's like a lot of them are just links. You can't even post a link to a story in the New York Times.
How is anybody okay with that? How are people in the far left, right, the progressive left, which is like the last, I'd say like 10% of the population, right? How are they okay with information being censored? Like, why would you even, no matter what your stance is, wouldn't you want the data?
They did a sneaky saying that this is financially unfair to these media corporations who are suffering. But that is true. Like, there's a reason why they have to make these horrible clickbait ads, and the reason why editors put clickbait stories, headlines, is because they just need people to click on the links. They're fucking starving. They're all going under. The LA Times just fired a bunch of people. The newspapers are barely hanging around.
So my question to you is, like, you don't think it has anything to do with censoring?
No. You through to your garage. You need me to bring you a ride?
My point was, the premise of it seemed reasonable. More people need to go to Canada Times, whatever the fuck it is, to get their information. They shouldn't be going to Twitter or Facebook. And so to make people go to these websites to get their news, we're going to stop all of the ability to take these things and post them. But what you're really doing is you're stopping awareness.
Yes.
Because people aren't going to be able to filter out all... Like, back in the day when we just read newspapers, you had to be a fucking real nut to get into the game.
Right.
You got to be a real nut. You got to be reading books.
Yeah.
You know,
you had to be meeting in basements, have conversations.
Tell you about it, and you went and got the paper.
Yeah.
And you didn't get anything from the internet. There was nothing. There was no internet, so it didn't exist. So you would have to get a physical newspaper.
I'm on the clock. What you want? Some wheels?
Read the stuff in the beginning of the sports page. So you read the first couple of pages, see if you're going to die. You're going to die? What's going on in Saudi Arabia? What's going on in Yemen? And then once you get past that, you get to the sports, you read the comics or whatever. And that was why we were so uninformed. We were grossly uninformed. Because most people were naive. Right, very. And now, most of the news I get is from links. Most of the news I get is, you'll send me a link, someone will, Alex Jones will send me something, someone will send me something. You know, Michael Malice will send me something. I get stuff from Dave Smith. I get
great resources.
Yeah, I get stuff from people sending me something, and then I go to Twitter and I find things and I send it to them. Twitter, so we all send each other stuff. And this has greatly increased people's awareness of things like this fucking martial law bill that they passed through. Who fucking would have known about that? Who would have known that the government made a decision to make lethal force from the military something they can use on citizens that are protesting?
Back in. There's a long story about how this has maybe been misinterpreted over the last few weeks online. This is a report done by...
this is the martial law thing?
Mm-hmm. It's been a thing, I guess, originally since 2007. It was taken down offline for a while, then reposted, and that's why they're saying that they call it a data void.
Well, it says a reissued Department of Defense directive that documents procedures around when there is potential use of lethal force against Americans. Subset of these rumors allege the directive to be suspiciously timed with the coming election. Yeah, kinda. Myriad and evolving rumors rely upon speculation about the motivations behind the changes to the DoD directive and perceived differences between this new document and existing documents. This sounds a little bit like they're trying to minimize this.
I mean, they go through the timeline of when this is exactly what I was trying to say.
Right, but the bottom line is, this is for the first time in history where they have pushed this directive, and it is happening during an election, and it is a thing where they're now saying you can use lethal force on protesters. So all these things, you're trying to gaslight people into thinking this is not a big deal. This is a gigantic deal.
This is a huge deal, and like this kind of fits into my whole belief about what the alleged kidnapping of the Michigan governor, which turned out to be a bunch of just
FBI informants.
I saw the funniest meme, and Ari was like,
the
"What does this
Spider-Man
mean?"
one?
Oh yeah, fed, some autistic fuck, right? Right. It was so funny. And then you get into so they took that guy who's running that FBI program and moved him over to January 6th, and he was in charge of that.
Yes.
So it's like, I personally believe, if you go, Sam, what do you think that's all about? I think those two events were to try to drum up support for the Homeland Security opening up a Department of Domestic Terrorism in which they can label a U.S. citizen a domestic terrorist, which means all your civil rights go away.
Right.
And that's a big movement right now within the government to be able to take away your civil rights.
Which, if there are domestic terrorists, we should have a movement to stop domestic terrorism. But when you have agent provocateurs who infiltrate these organizations and then turn them into terrorist organizations so that they can go in and shut these protest organizations down, that's when things get dirty. And that seems like that's what happened during
or
January
even pushing
6th.
the whatever event they want to happen, kind of convincing, hey guys, maybe we should go try to do this. This governor's causing something crazy.
12 out of the 14 people were working with the FBI. 12 out of 14, these two losers who got roped into it. And then there's that kid, the 19-year-old kid who they talked into detonating that fake bomb. You know that kid?
Yeah.
You know, I believe that was in Dallas. So they take this young, stupid kid and they fucking radicalize him, and then they give him a cell phone and tell him, press these buttons and that bomb will go off. They give him the fake bomb. The bomb doesn't work. He does it. Use your idea.
Yeah, 100%. Do you guys remember that really weird case that happened in either
you're making it past at the lost out near my place by the Alamo Sea.
And then they
I'll
were
have some silenced weapons in my garage for you, so head here
according
first.
to the guy running the compound, that they were training school shooters. And and then the case just got dismissed and sent away. And it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, dude. That they were training school shooters. What was this?
The plan is to go
This
in
was
when
like a
most of
couple
them are
years ago.
sleeping. You take out the guards and take the meds. Then they wake up in the morning and all their buddies are dead and they're short their stash.
School shootings, prosecutors said.
Oh man, that'll be hilarious.
2018.
And then they dismissed the case, and the case just went away.
The 5 suspects accused of abusing 11 children at a New Mexico compound were training them to commit school shootings, prosecutors said Wednesday. The defendants were to be released from custody with substantial likelihood the defendant may commit new crimes such as planning and preparation for future school shootings, the court document says. The filings did not include details about the alleged training. The makeshift compound appeared to have a shooting range on the property and loaded firearms were found on the property, authorities said. A foster parent of children also said the defendant had trained the child in the use of assault rifle in preparation
Take a
for
seat on the couch and
shootings.
sit there. Total silence like a rock. With glasses and a squiggly
so
little
what
pen.
happened with that?
But I was too smart then, and I am too smart now. I'm not falling for it. No, ma'am. What right do you got to sit there and ask me about my mom? With your eyes,
Scroll up a little bit.
your ears. You're the perverts. With those thoughts, a man can love his mother without loving his mother. One day she'll need me, and when she does,
Dude, if you can't say it, I can't say it.
end of story, you sick freak.
Said he has no knowledge of the alleged training. The spokesperson,
Ladies and gentlemen, is how you get kicked out of the Air
Imam
Force. Now hurry up.
Abdur Rashid.
Oh,
The
man.
Imam is the first Muslim to offer an opening prayer before the U.S. House of Representatives. Oh, how convenient. The Muslim Alliance in North America. Oops. No thanks. The Muslim Alliance in North America said he's also a character witness for a convicted 1993 World Trade Center bombing mastermind, Omar Abdel.
Where the hell are you? I got bored of waiting. Pick up the guns and get in the boat. I got more
This
to
is what I'm
pack.
telling you, dude. Everything is an intelligence trick, dude.
Well, there's certainly a lot of intelligence tricks. And that's something that people are super reluctant to admit to, despite the overwhelming amount of evidence. But if you go, how you doing with that 3? You all right?
I took it out already.
You took it out?
Yeah, it was good. It was much better.
Mild.
It's mild. I can handle. I like because I
Perfect
want to
amount.
do it. I like this stuff.
Sparks you up a little bit.
Yeah, I like it.
You
I
smoke
like
a little cigar every now and then?
Here and there, my brother loves cigars, and my grandfather loves cigars. I just never got into it. The only time I ever smoked anything was if I was at a bar and a hot chick started smoking cigarettes. That would be my in. Hey, got a cig, and then I would just start slinging, right? But I never really got into
game.
Yeah,
game. Yeah, cigarettes are a wild one because if someone's willing to smoke cigarettes, they're probably willing to do a lot of wild things.
Yeah, it is weird.
There's like a thing,
but it is the one thing I'm not into. Like women can almost do anything, and I find it hot. Smoking is like what I'm just not into.
It's bad choices. Federal jury convicts 4 New Mexico compound defendants in connection with kidnapping and terrorism.
Is this the same one?
Kidnapping and terrorism.
Oh yeah.
According to evidence presented at trial and other publicity available court records, publicly available court records in December, Siraj Wahad unlawfully his 3-year-old son from his wife in Alabama, Layville.
I think that sounds right.
And the defendants had formed the belief that the child was her son and was possessed by demons. The group took the child to New Mexico, depriving him of his medication and the loving care of his mother, and subjecting him to the exhausting regimen of daily spiritual exercise. The child died fewer than 2 weeks after arriving in New Mexico before investigators showed any knowledge. So there's a lot of wild shit going on with these folks. Armed with 11 firearms, including AR-15, Bushmaster, assault rifle, high-capacity magazines, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition, the group conducted weapons and tactical training and required some of the children to do so as well. The group conducted the training with the intent to face the nation and kill those who refused to believe as they did. They spoke of waging jihad and becoming martyrs. Oh, fun. I wonder how many of them have snuck in through the border.
You might not believe this, or you might, because I'm just so plain adjusted. But I went to a therapist one time, and that lady played the same game as you do.
And this is
The
just
appointment
like,
would start.
but you know,
I'd
this
come
kind
in,
of, I was,
take
you know,
a seat
going
on the
back to the
couch and
lizard
see.
tape and stuff at the beginning was
Total
like,
silence like a rock.
if there
Class
wasn't
in
this
his piddly
apex
little pen,
predator
but I
class,
was too smart
like
then,
out there
and I am
manipulating
too
energy and
smart now.
manipulating people,
I'm not falling for
like
it.
how much chaos do we have?
What right do
You
you
know,
got
like,
to
there
sit
always
there and
seems
ask
to
me
be
about
like,
my
if
mom?
you dig deeper,
Your
okay,
eyes
there's an
are
intelligence
your
agent
ears.
somewhere involved in that.
You're the perverts with those thoughts. A man can love his mother without loving his mother. One day she'll need me, and when she does, great.
Famous
End
general.
of story, you
After
sick
it was all
freak.
over, he realized all his years of service.
They approached him to do
Ladies and
assassination, and he
gentlemen,
said,
is
no,
how
I
you
won't
get
do
kicked
it.
out
Like
of the Air Force.
corporations
Now hurry up.
wanted to assassinate, I think it was FDR. I'm not quite sure which the president was, but they approached him about basically doing a banker coup on the government, and he said he wouldn't do it. How crazy is that?
There's been a few of those.
Where the hell are you? I got bored of waiting. Pick up the guns and get in the boat. I got moored out back.
Especially climate change. And, you know, this whole term, the deep state, one thing about is conspiracy theory. Okay, you have elected officials. Elected officials have to get elected. But the people that run intelligence agencies don't have to get elected. And they have massive access
And power.
and they don't want to leave that position. The business plot called the Wall Street Putsch, how do you say that? Putsch. P-U-T-S-C-H? Push.
Whatever you attempt is good to me.
Okay, the White House conspiracy in 1903 in the United States to overthrow the government. President Franklin D. Roosevelt and install Smedley Butler as dictator. Butler, a retired Marine Corps Major General, testified under oath that wealthy businessmen were plotting to create a fascist veterans organization with him as its leader and use it as a coup d'etat to overthrow Roosevelt. In 1934, Butler testified under oath before the United States House of Representatives Special Committee on Un-American Activities, the McCormick-Dickstein, what an unfortunate name, committee on these revelations. Although no one was prosecuted, the Congressional Committee final report said there is no question that these attempts were discussed, were planned, and might have been placed in execution when and if the financial backers deemed it expedient. Holy fuck.
Don't let anyone see you. If
Holy
you're seen,
fuck.
go wake up the other guys, and the
And
surprise
it's so
will be
crazy to me,
rude.
like just
Every
hearing
guy
that
standing
is like,
around
if you
kicking the
actually
shit,
study
guys out of
FDR,
control. If two
like
guys
he
are
very
looking at each
much
other, you're
was
gonna
a
have to take them
wall
down at the
up.
same time.
Like, he very much was in there doing their bidding, and he had a lot of, like, all the space stuff, Pearl Harbor, connection to Hitler, all this crazy stuff that people never hear about. And it's super interesting to me that when he's seen as a puppet of Wall Street, they're also trying to take him out.
And also, if you think back then, there was no access to information. So they could do all this stuff, like the assassination of Kennedy. They could do all this stuff and completely cover it. There was no one had a chance. No one had a chance. And anybody who opened their mouth was dead. Anybody that opened their mouth wound up dying in suspicious circumstances.
Well, yeah. So I just did an episode with a guy, he's called the Dark Journalist. That's what he goes by. And he, mind blown. He was telling me, like, yeah, all the people that you think were involved in the assassination of JFK, they were involved. The intelligence agency, multiple intelligence agencies, the Federal Reserve, a bunch of people. One of the groups that I never heard of was basically the space program. Like, the people who ran the space program of that time were involved in it because Kennedy wanted to share all the information they had on, like, UFOs and technologies with the Russians, because he didn't want the Russians to think if they saw something weird in the sky, it was the U.S. and, like, some kind of weird nuclear weapon. Yeah. So, and if you think about back then, who was involved in the space station, say with me, Nazis who were brought over, we discussed last time I was on
Operation Paperclip.
Yeah. I don't think the Nazis lost. I think they just walked over here and set up shop.
Well, they definitely lost, but we took all the good ones that were engineers and scientists.
But
Russia took the other ones.
The only pushback I have on that, dude, is that if it's some kind of thing where we're sneaking them over, they're bringing them over, like, nobody changes their names, like, everybody.
Well, they didn't have to sneak them over. They were brought under the protection of the United States government, and no one could know if they were Nazis. There was no information.
Yeah, but Von Braun had his name, and he was like on trial. Everyone's like, we got this Nazi over here.
The Simon Wiesenthal Center said that if Von Braun was alive today, they would charge him with crimes against humanity.
Yeah.
They hung the 5 slowest Jews in their rocket factory in Berlin to motivate people to work harder.
It's so crazy. So
they were all Nazis.
So if you think about, the Nazis hated the Russians, and he wanted to share all this information with the Russians, and they did not like that at all. And here's the craziest thing. I was like, oh, what do I want to tell Joe? Here's the craziest thing. I've had people on my show talking about this. Like, there is a belief out there that the head of the power pyramid of intelligence agencies is NASA. Because if you think about this, it's the one thing that everybody wants to work together on. Like, we're possibly we're having this weird kind of nuclear standoff with Russians, but somehow, some way, we're all working on a space station together. That and Antarctica are the two things where everyone, like, puts their differences aside. We're like, let's all work together. And it's like, there is this real belief that the head of the snake of the intelligence agencies, which is like Mossad, CIA, MI6, is NASA Space Station, is the NASA organization.
Space Administration.
Yeah.
The thing that would make that plausible is if the knowledge of alien life is absolute, real, and they have to protect that information.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to me because it's the one thing everybody works on. Even Antarctica's like, they're all in on this treaty, and then everyone's claiming a piece of Antarctica, and they all just work together, even though they don't want to even though they may not get along in every.
What do you think about all that talk of direct energy weapons in Antarctica and all that shit? Here we go. You have to take a breath.
100%. Like, you go, Sam, who runs the world? Who runs the world, Sam? Hand of God, sorcerers. Okay? And I'm not even kidding. And sorcerers run the world. We're battering sorcery. And at the highest levels, this is my honest opinion, all the new tech, next generation weaponry is just hardwired mysticism, dude. It's like they've been working on this shit for years and years and years and years. Like, not just like years, we're talking centuries, if not thousands of years. And you take a look at weather manipulation, direct energy weapons, this reading my mind, they can wipe your whole mind of like thoughts. It's all sorcery, dude. We are literally in a time where like Holly Berry's character in Marvel Universe, we're doing that stuff, Doctor Strange stuff. I mean, we're doing all that stuff that we think is amazing in Marvel Comics. Our government has that technology. What Elon Musk puts out these robots.
They coming after you.
I think that's the flip
Get to the warehouse and hope you lose them on the way. And be careful of the pads. The dolls you've got back there are fragile.
But the thing is, they show all their innovations. They show all the new stuff they're working on. But keeps getting better and better and better. To the point where, like, when are they going to stop showing?
I told Ron you're coming, so you better get there.
There's
Jail hospital, they put you in and well. I'll let you say my bedside manner leaves much to be desired.
Mountain?
Yeah, that's where Bob Lazar claims he was working on back engineering the flying saucers.
I said the craziest thing about Bob Lazar. Like he got busted running a hooker fucking...
A brothel?
Yeah.
I think he did.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. That's a wild boy living in Vegas.
He's a wild boy.
Well, also, this is a guy that put a jet engine in the back of his Honda. You know, he was kind of a crazy person before. I mean, he was a young man. That's why they brought him over, allegedly, to Area S4 in the first place. Because, like, the way science is supposed to work is you get a bunch of people and they collaborate on something, and you write papers so that other scientists can review it and find out if it's correct.
Yeah.
The way they were doing it, everything was compartmentalized because it was so top secret. They couldn't let other science doing it and other scientists work on it. And so because of that, they weren't making any progress. So what they would have to do is bring in completely new scientists every few years with new eyes and go, what do you think of this? And they didn't even tell them what it is. When Lazar said, I had dinner with Lazar. He's very compelling. Me and Andrew Schultz had dinner with Lazar and Jeremy Corbell. And Lazar is very compelling. And what he essentially was saying was that when he got there, they showed him this thing, and it had an American flag sticker on it. And he was like, oh, it's ours. So this thing that people keep seeing is one of ours. And then as he starts examining it, it's like, this doesn't have any seams. This thing is printed of some unknown alloy. There's no controls inside of it. It's designed for something that's like 3 feet tall. What the fuck is going on? And then there's some reactor in there that has an element that's a completely theoretical element in stable form with a bombardment of radiation that's literally gravity. They're telling him how this works. And so, what's that called when you go back engineering?
I'm told Ron you're coming, so you better get there, or I'll have to find you whatever jail or hospital they put you in, and well, I'll let you say my bedside manner leaves much to be desired.
To the point where when you're at that level, they have to monitor above your house, they monitor your phone. So they give you a call, 11 p.m., go to Vegas, go to the airport, you got to go. So he tells his wife, I got to go to work. She's like, what? You have to go to work at 11 o'clock at night? What are you doing? I got to go to work. And so she was like, fuck this dude. He's cheating on me. I'm going to cheat. So she starts banging her flight instructor. She's taking flight lessons. She starts banging this guy. And so because Lazar would be in an emotionally unstable position if his wife is having an affair, he loses his top secret clearance and they have to relieve him. He can't work there anymore. So then he's telling his friends now. He's like, you can't believe what I've been working on. I want to show you. And every Wednesday, they have this area where you can go to, this plateau, and you could look out at Area S4, and you could see in the sky them piloting these crafts. So he goes there with his friends on multiple occasions and gets arrested. And once he gets arrested, then he realized, oh my, they might fucking kill me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come clean and I'm gonna tell my story. So then he contacts George Knapp, who's an investigative journalist out of Las Vegas. And the first ones that he does, the first interview he does, he's got his face blacked out. You can't see him. And then he's like, you know what, to save my life, I probably should do a full public. This might be the only way, fucking kill me. So they were threatening him, very much breaking into his house, very creepy, mysterious shit.
Be careful out there. The dolls you got back there are fragile.
What do you think of this?
They're coming after you.
Do you think there's some bad agents?
Get to the warehouse and hope you lose them on the way.
And I think this sometimes is going to public. I think they probably use people like me as to spread bullshit.
Bill Cooper thought that. He thought that they gave him documents so he would go out and tell them.
Yeah, I bet they do. That's the best way to hide something. The way you hide something is you connect it with a bunch of stupid shit.
You're coming, so you better get there. Or I'll have to find you in whatever jail or hospital they put you in. And well, I'll let you see my bedside manner leaves much to be desired.
That's the best way to hide a drone. The best way to hide a drone is to say, we are in possession of things that are not of this world.
Yes.
Really? Yes. And there's these top secret organizations that want to stay top secret. As you know, this disclosure, nothing really gets out. It's just talk.
Yeah.
So this is what gives me, all my spidey senses go on. I smell bullshit.
Nothing's really happening.
Right. Nothing's happening. And Jeremy Corbell's convinced that
yeah.
Maybe, but I'm not seeing anything. What I'm seeing is when people talking. That doesn't mean anything. Having them come on, talking to people. It's interesting.
Do you think they give people information hoping they'll put it out?
I think there's also people that are still in the government that say they're whistleblowers and they go out and they spread false.
I have a conversation told this story on my show about his dad worked at this institute in Chicago, and his dad was just a handyman at the place. He fixed stuff, right? And one day he gets a call to a level that he's never been before. And he goes, okay, I'm going down. So it goes all the way down. He gets weird. So walking down the hall, he looks in, there's animal experiments going on. His dad tells him this. And his dad tells him this way later on, he doesn't have much time left in his life at this point. So he tells him the story. And it's, he says he sees some weird stuff with monkeys going on, a weird thing with horse in this thing. So he keeps walking, what's going on? He goes far enough, right? And he sees this giant crab. And it's this crab. And Trevor's dad tells him, I see something in there. It's gray. I don't know what it is. And then all of a sudden, this tiny green thing is walking on the outside of this crab. And he goes, what? Suddenly, bang, guns are on him. It's security. What are you doing here? It's like, I just work here. I was sent down here to just fix something. They're like, get out of here. And they're like, what are we going to do with him? So he says that he has to agree never to tell anybody anything, right? But as his dad tells Trevor, every time he travels, he'll go to a random country somewhere, he'll get pulled in security, he gets put in a room, and these men in black come out and sit down and go, did you tell anybody? Did you tell anybody?
Right?
And he's like, I haven't told anybody
those guys don't think we had anything to do with this.
Multiple times.
I mean, we're neighbors,
and Trevor
right?
said his dad's not that creative.
I mean, I don't shit on my doorstep unless Trevor tells me to.
Told him towards the end of his life when it was coming to an end. So my
what I'm trying to say is that I only rarely shit on doorsteps.
He'll start
and when I
talking about this with people.
I don't want the doorstep owners finding out.
If it's real, it's probably incompetence. It's probably some incompetent person told them to go down there. Some arrogant, incompetent person.
It's too late to save my marriage,
control over the scenario, and they needed someone to go down there and do something. Just send them down there.
So
maybe they trusted him.
Maybe, but it's also like
if he's working on anything top secret, they're listening to all his phone calls.
Well, he wasn't. He was like a maintenance guy that worked upstairs.
I guarantee after that they listened to all his phone calls.
Well, they knew where he's traveling. They'd show up with these men in black.
Well, they probably listened to everything he did too, just to make sure that he wasn't flapping his gums.
So this whole thing with the men in black too, there's this belief right now that maybe it's like because you see videos of them walking through walls and all that they're just
what?
They're just astral projections. Where, like, have you ever seen videos where men in black just kind of show up anywhere, walk through a wall?
No, where are you getting these videos?
Dude, the streets, dog.
The streets.
The streets. Twitter. I mean, I get sent all this stuff.
They might be bullshit.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Or it's like...
Well, if you were going to be an alien and you were going to blend in with human beings, dressing up in a suit would be the best way to do it. Be a person in a suit, wear sunglasses so they don't see your eyes, and just, you know, move around like a normal person. If you can come here from another planet, you don't think you could disguise yourself as a different life form?
Possibly.
Of course.
Do you think aliens are from other planets? I think they might be angels and demons.
I'm not opposed to that idea. I think there's probably, well, there's definitely dimensions that we don't, like, Brian Cox was here yesterday, as I was saying, and he was trying to explain to me quantum computing and how quickly quantum computing works, like that a problem that would literally take the entire amount of time that the Earth has existed to solve by a regular computer can be solved in a second by a quantum computer. And this quantum computer is literally somehow or another accessing other universes to come to its conclusion. To do these calculations, it's not only operating in this universe. It's operating in other dimensions simultaneously and instantaneously. The way he said it was like, and by the way, this is Brian Cox, who's like, you know, like a serious physicist.
Yeah.
You know, he's a professor.
One of the smart ones.
He's a genius. And, and he's literally explaining the mechanisms of quantum computing and explaining that quantum computing, even though they can't even figure out how to program it yet, is already showing that wormholes are possible.
That's so crazy.
So there's wormholes are being used somehow in the quantum computing process. Again, I'm sure I'm butchering this. Brian, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
One of my favorite things to do on YouTube, I go down weird rabbit holes. Like, I like to watch weird shit on YouTube. I love watching black people get their hair cut. I fucking love that shit. I don't know why. It's just entertaining. But one of my favorite things to do is watch long form math.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't know why, because I'm like, I like watching. Yeah, so like I watched this one video where it was like 17 lines of math, and then it gets to the conclusion, and all I wrote was like, I've never done this in my real life, ever in my life. I've never had to use any of this stuff because it's so smart.
Right.
And I love to just like be like, this isn't how I use it in real life.
Well, all that is rudimentary in comparison to this quantum computing idea. And what's fascinating about the quantum computing idea is that if it's this theory of many worlds. So if this theory is accurate, and there are an infinite number of universes, let's say, that it's entirely within the realm of possibility, if you think of that being a real thing, that something can transport itself from those other dimensions to where we are. So it might not be a metal craft that comes from Venus. It might not be something so simple. Like, that's probably too simple for our stupid little minds might put it into that category.
Right.
And also, that might be how they present themselves to us to make themselves seem at least tangible instead of what they really are, which is probably outside of our ability to grasp.
Our understanding.
Yeah.
Minds can't do it.
So whatever these things are, I bet they're from multiple sources. I bet there are actual physical things that come from somewhere. But do they come from other planets? Do they come from other dimensions? Is it both? Are some of them interstellar travelers and some of them interdimensional travelers? I think they're these like very rudimentary things that, as far as we know, we're the most complex thing in the universe. And I think if you scale that, this is one of the things that Brian and I were talking about, that if you take artificial intelligence and quantum computing and you imagine a sentient life form that relies on quantum computing instead of regular, and it has
Morse Mutual Insurance, how can we help you? I think we can do that.
You get to the point where something is so powerful that it literally can control all the elements in the known universe, and then have access to other universes, and that this might be what we're dealing with. And we might be dealing with these beings that have always been here, and they come and go, and they observe, or they intervene, or one of the things that Lazar talked about, one of the most bizarre things that talked about, they have this very thick document that was all about religion, and that essentially what these life forms use us as is containers. And he didn't understand what that meant by that, like what containers for what. He's like, I don't know, but they think of us as containers. And you would think maybe containers.
What can the best mechanic in LS do for you?
The soul's a real thing. And look, the concept of the soul has existed forever. Very unusual for the concept of something to exist for a long time with no basis in reality. You know, that's why I'm interested in dragons. Like,
what's wrong with it now?
Why do they all have dragons?
They mention dragons in the Bible a bunch of times. They don't mention dinosaurs.
Well, I think because people weren't alive when dinosaurs were alive, but I bet they were alive when dragons were alive. I bet dragons were a real thing. And in fact, Forrest Galante, who's a wildlife biologist, believes that there's a real possibility that dragons were an actual animal. But that if you have an animal that has bones that are similar to like bird bones, and something that, you know, like how many of them would you find? What would you find that's left of that? You know, most things don't fossilize.
I think dinosaurs are dragons. That's what I think they were.
Well, I mean, it's possible that there was some form of... Look, birds survived this impact in the Yucatan. Whatever killed the dinosaurs did not kill chickens, right? Because chickens are literal dinosaurs. Yeah, they're literal dinosaurs. You know, have you ever seen a chicken eat a mouse? It's fucking wild. They're the most ruthless, ferocious little animals. Raptors, birds, those are all eagles. American eagles are goddamn dinosaurs. And that's what it is. They're dinosaurs that lived. And in fact, some of the more recent models of what dinosaurs look like is updated to that feather. What is that? The dinosaur's preserved tail in amber. So look at that, feathers. Feathers in a dinosaur's tail. So there's a museum in Bozeman, Montana. And
hello,
this museum
is Morse Mutual Insurance.
On one side of this raptor, they have a velociraptor, and on one side of it, they have, it's like a real-size velociraptor, and on one side, they have it with like dinosaur skin, like we like to think of it, but the other side, they have this theoretical version of it that's covered in feathers. And that's probably what dinosaurs had. So dinosaurs died during the impact, but not all. The birds lived, and they were smaller. There was no food. Okay, so the big Tyrannosaurus Rex, there's nothing to eat. You're gonna starve to death. Those things died off, but the little ones lived. And it's so possible that something that flew, like a pterodactyl, like we think of pterodactyls as being like bat wings.
Yes.
Maybe they had feathers. Maybe that was a gigantic fucking predatory bird, and maybe some of those fucking things look like dragons. You know, maybe the images that, think of all these different cultures, ancient, medieval Europe, China, Japan.
Oh yeah, China for sure.
All of them had dragons.
There's a dragon.
There's so many dragons. Like, it might have been a real thing. I think most of them didn't have dragons that spit fire either. I mean, that was like a fucking Hollywood.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you think the alligator is a dinosaur?
Predates the dinosaurs. Crocodiles, crocodilian species predate dinosaurs. Really? Yeah. There was crocodiles and crocodile species, enormous ones, by the way, that predated the dinosaur. And I think modern alligators, they go back really, you know, sharks predate trees.
Really?
Predate trees. There was sharks on Earth before there were trees.
Maybe we were all underwater for a long time.
Well, life definitely existed underwater a long ass fucking time
crocodiles
ago.
are older than trees also.
Jesus Christ.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, so those are dinosaurs. When you see a giant Nile crocodile, those are fucking dinosaurs. That's a type of reptile.
They scare me.
They should.
I drive, you know, I'll be in Florida. We'll be driving. There'll be like a dead crocodile ran the side road. I'm like,
mostly in Florida.
They're all the same to me. They scare the shit out of me, dude.
They should. They're fucking
people walking their dogs and they just come up and grab them, and then the guy jumps in there and like tries to save the dog. Like, Florida people don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they're not that wise. That's one of the crazy stories I heard. This guy was running from the cops, gets to a bridge, jumps off the bridge right onto an alligator. Alligator eats him right in front of the cops.
Or how about that guy who tried to save the shark? Do you see that video?
What?
Where he tries to save the shark on the beach, and he drags it in, and the shark just turns around and kills him.
Oh, God.
You watch that video if you want to see it, dude.
God, I don't watch that.
Yeah, dude.
That one video in Egypt where they're at a resort and this kid is swimming and he's screaming for his father as he's getting slaughtered.
Oh, no, I can't watch that.
Oh, this dude, Papa. He's just getting fucking murdered by the shark. Whoa. Whoa.
into the water and it was shark filled. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, there's a reason why, sadly, natural selection. People that have stupid ideas, they don't make it. And that's always been the case.
It's getting crazy. It's just, was the world always crazy? And just social media has allowed us to see it in real time?
Well, it's super crazy today because we have more capability, right? Because now we have guns and nuclear weapons. And, back in the day, it was people were super crazy, but they killed everybody with arrows.
Yeah.
And catapults. I mean, you just listen
to... It's more hands-on in a weird way.
Just think about all the shit that humans did back when there was no written history. We did horrific, horrible things. Wiped out... The Mongols killed somewhere in the neighborhood of, during Genghis Khan's lifetime, 50 to 70 million people.
Crazy.
They killed 10% of the population of Earth. Yeah, so people have always been
And his
horrible.
DNA's in like half of the people on planet Earth. He's just slitting throats and dropping dick.
Oh, he was dropping dick all over the place. Taking everybody as a wife, air quotes, wife, this is my new wife. But it's like, humans have always been crazy. We're probably less violent now, but more capability and more awareness of all the chaos in the world, because it's like
makes
in
me
your face.
sad having to watch all of it, and then watching like the parties kind of you got these liberals now that are pro-war. It's like the weirdest thing ever, dude.
We have to win.
Yeah.
We have to win in Ukraine. What are you talking about? Russia has nukes. They've threatened to use them. Are you fucking serious?
I tried to start change.org, right, to get us to help the Ukraine get their own Federal Reserve so that they can print their own money and we don't have to send them any more money, and I couldn't get anyone to sign it. Change.org. Let's have them print their own fake money so they can load up our money. Why do they need our fake printed up money?
Well, it's because it's a big scam. It's a big manufacturing scam. The money is not just going straight to Ukraine. It's going to weapons manufacturers.
Yeah.
And they're giving Ukraine in aid. They're giving them tanks and weapons. The craziest one is the Taliban in Afghanistan, where they leave behind billions of dollars of high-tech war equipment. And then they put parades on where they're driving down the street with tanks and flying Blackhawks. Like, what?
So crazy just to leave that all there.
Leave it all there.
Billions.
And empower the Taliban with modern weapons. These guys are living in fucking caves, fucking goats all day. Now all of a sudden they have Blackhawks. It's so crazy.
That whole area is crazy.
Oh my God, you don't even know the half of it. I have a buddy who served before multiple deployments in Afghanistan, and he told me it's insane. So just the male rape, men raping each other and raping boys, he said it's fucking rampant.
It's called Man Loves Thursdays. Yeah. That's what they do. It just happened on Thursday. Well, Brian and I went on a tour. We did it with Steve Bird and Doug Davidoff, and they told us about that. That's like the Afghanis. They see women for procreation, men for pleasure. And
imagine trying to install a democratic government into a place that has child rape as a normal thing. He said that they would have parades where guys would have their harem of boys, and the most amount of boys would make you a pimp, and so it was cool to show all the boys that you're fucking. It's just like down the street, like on main streets.
And then it just becomes generational. What you do to the next gen, which is so tragic.
So they had this guy who was like this mentally handicapped guy who was working in his kitchen, and they were all raping this guy. And they called him raping this guy. And the guy would just take it. It was just normal. It was normal. And they did it to each other. They said they were going to the barracks and all be fucking each other. And Jesus Christ. Don't you think that's probably the behavior back in like the Spartan days?
Yeah.
Like the Spartans all fuck each other.
Yeah, the not taking it if somebody doesn't want it is like a new thing, right? Like way back in the day. Yeah, consent is a brand new weapon. It's like sarcasm and consent are like the Saudis were involved. That's really British intelligence.
But wasn't the whole idea of suicide bombers and jihad, didn't they do that when the Soviet Union was taking over Afghanistan?
Yeah.
They did to try to like fight against it.
And also demoralize them by getting them all hooked on heroin. Nobody comes out of Afghanistan the same. You go in there, try to tame that, you just can't do it.
Nobody's tamed it. It's all just warlords. It's crazy. And
Remember,
did you ever see we had Jason Everman on the podcast who was in Nirvana and also in Soundgarden and then went over to become a Special Forces soldier?
After that?
Wow. Yeah, after that. And really fucking interesting guy. But he said that there's ancient Greek, like, construction that looks like the Parthenon in Afghanistan.
Yes.
And find some of that stuff. They have photographs of the stuff, but you can't get archaeologists out there to study it because it's too fucking dangerous. That's run by the Taliban.
Back to the sorcery, dude. I think a lot of this war that we see happening is about just erasing our history. Like, you remember when the Taliban were just shooting these giant, beautiful statues and destroying them? Erase. A lot of people think there's something, not a lot, but some people think that the weapon of mass destruction in Iraq is important. It's not really about a bomb. Yeah, so
real weapon of mass destruction?
Well, they go in. Where do they go? The first thing they do, you ask anybody, they go right into the museums. They start taking all the old artifacts from everything. They're wiping out. So there's a lot of talk like this whole thing with like, like what are the plans after October 7th and all this stuff. I think the old gods are coming back, dog. I think the old gods want to come back and reign, and I think a lot of this is about bringing back like the Anunnaki. No, I'm thinking like the Zoroastrianism and stuff like that. If you study Zoroastrianism, like if you study the weirdest thing, if you study like Statue of Liberty, that's a dude, bro. It is a cross-dresser, and it is. Oh yeah, the Statue of Liberty is an old Zoroastrianism god called Mithras, and you get into if you study it. You can even say like the old one.
First of all, images of ancient Greece and Afghanistan. Let's get those first.
Okay.
I don't want to lose this. Okay. I don't want to lose this. And then we're going to go to so look at this stuff. So crazy, dude. Model of what it looks like. It's a model of what it looks like, but they do have some images of the actual ruins. Look at that. So ancient Greek ruins in Afghanistan. Look at that. Fucking bananas. And no archaeology is done. This is fucking insane. And the stuff that Everman showed me is actually a little more even complex photos of details of these ruins.
What about, well, I can't believe that was any cool
tiles and these Greek statues. This all from Alexander the Great. Okay, now what is Statue of Liberty? I want to see what the Statue of Liberty looks like. It's true, the Statue of Liberty, look at that, is modeled after the Persian god Mithra. Yeah, hardly. First, both the original and the Persian god Mithra. Well, I don't believe it. Yeah, but let's look at the Statue of Liberty. Give me a good image of the Statue of Liberty.
There it is, like Mithras. This is what they said, like that's Mithras. Yeah, the top one, that's Mithras.
Look at the jaw.
Yeah.
It does look like a good.
So if you study, like, who gave the Statue of Liberty? France, right?
Right. Go to the photograph of the Statue of Liberty's face again. Scroll up, make that one in the center big. That does look like a guy. It looks like a Greek god.
Yeah, that's a dude in drag.
And how thick the neck is.
Yeah, it's a thick neck, dude.
Look at that, does look like a guy. Look at that one, that image too.
What you need, boss? Some wheels? I can bring them around.
Look at the arm. It does not look like a feminine arm. Look at the hand.
It's coming at you.
Look at the hand.
Okay.
Whoa. See if we can get a better image of the statue. That one there, it says flicker, the middle, in the bottom in the middle. Yeah. Oh, I know this one. Holy shit, Sam Treadway. Statue of Liberty's a fucking dude.
So if you study
like back to that image of them posting it, there was an image that you just had up in the bottom, yeah, the scaffold. Look at that. That's a guy.
So if you
looks like an avatar.
If you study the French Olympics, look at arm, right?
That's not
yeah, dude, that's a thick wrist.
Statue of Liberty's a guy. Holy shit, man. Does he have breasts?
Yeah, this guy came on my podcast and Christopher Knowles.
Where's the breasts? There's no breasts.
Yeah.
Statue of Liberty does not have breasts. Wow. It's a fucking guy. Kind of. We'll probably add that later. That's Photoshop. Let me see. I don't see boobs.
I see a gut.
Yeah, but that's my pecs. Look. See?
He looks shredded.
Look, if I'm standing here like this.
Yeah. I definitely have kids. I'm trying.
Statue of Liberty breasts. Uh-oh, you're going to get to a weird porn site.
Yeah. Look at that. And on Instagram, it does breastfeeding videos. That fat tip right there.
Those ones are different. That's big. That's a big piece of food. She's got silver. Those aren't good. That way, look, you gotta get to a porn site to get to the. All right, Sam.
So if you
bring this home.
Okay. There we go.
Sam, you're the fucking man.
Thank you, buddy. I love you so
I love
much.
You too. It's always great to see you.
You've shown me so much love over the years, and I'm so appreciative of you. So thank you.
I'm appreciative of you as well. You're awesome, and you go hard.
Yeah,
I appreciate
thank you,
that.
dude. I appreciate it.
You're special.
I have a special. It's dropping everywhere. I might put it on YouTube, but I gotta beat the shit out of it because we go pretty hard on this. But if you go to like Twitter, Sam Tripoli. You go to twitter.com/SamTripoli, or you go to Rumble. Rumble's been very nice to me. They featured my...
Rumble's great.
Rumble's
one of the real free speech platforms that's around.
Twitter's great too, man.
Twitter's great.
I got, dude, me? Yeah. I got a 3 million views on one long time ago, but I never did that.
They're not suppressed anymore.
And
when Elon took over Twitter, I gained like 7 million followers in like a couple of months. Like that.
Dude, they suppress.
They suppress the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
I'm suppressed on Instagram. I'm almost positive of it.
Oh, dude.
I'm stuck at 19.3 million. I know that's a lot, but I'm stuck there for like quite a while.
I have 124,000 followers, and I've had that for 5 years, okay? Can't go above it. I had a post get 25 likes.
Yeah, suppression.
It's crazy. And you can also go to samtripoli.com. You can also find all my podcasts there. My Broken Simulation, Conspiracy Social Club, Cash Daddies, and what's my other one?
You have so many podcasts.
I just can't stop, won't stop. And go to my tour dates. I'm touring, working on a new hour.
All right, my man.
Yeah,
appreciate you, brother.
I love you, buddy.
I love you
Thank
too.
you so much, dude.
Thanks for being here. All right, bye, everybody.